Chapter 41 The Fraud of Pyongyang Palace. The most important part of the floating mountain assembly was precisely each and every sect's rookies, which were sent out to receive the test of the illusionary land's heavenly stairs, but everyone jokingly called it the heavenly stairs. On the way from the foot of the floating mountain to its peak, there were hundreds of steps carved into the stone. This narrow mountain path, filled with stairs, was precisely that heavenly stairs. On each step of this heavenly stairs, there was an extremely strong hallucinatory spell formation, which was set up by a very strong elder, only to be aimed at high-layer disciples. On this heavenly stairs, every single step was for improving the innermost being. Therefore the stairway was sometimes also known as heart-finding path. To open the heavenly stairs, at least 10 Zhanxian stage experts were required to cooperate, moreover, it could only be opened at the same time every year. In addition to that, the time it was open was very limited, therefore every sect would only send the disciples whom the sect focused on the most. Generally speaking, the higher a disciples could climb up the heavenly stairs, the more likely he was to have high achievements later, with some exceptions. Thus every sect would attach the highest importance to each year's heavenly stairs assembly. Every sect could only choose their 2 most outstanding disciples, and in general all of the chosen were at least at the 5th Kai layer or above, disciples who were allowed to go on training, to be refined by dangers. And this year Pyongyang Palace had chosen precisely Yang Chen and Gongsun Ling. In his previous life, Yang Chen's aptitude was common, so he basically didn't have the opportunity to participate in the ceremony for the heavenly stairs, but unexpectedly while he was only at the 2nd Kai layer in this life, he was still sent by the palace master. Every year, 10 sects are appointed to put forth 10 Zhanxian stage experts to take charge of the heavenly stairs ceremony. There were already pre-made spell formations, so as long as these Zhanxian stage experts pushed their spirit power into them in the preordained way, that would be enough. Certainly, if those Zhanxian stage experts wanted to, they could naturally cause some trouble in the exam. The life and death duel was merely an appetizer at the floating mountain assembly, all of the people still put their entire minds to the heavenly stairs. In the past, as long as they could climb up to 20 steps or above, they would be energetically cultivated by their sect. This was an opportunity for everyone, so every participant had rolled up their sleeves to prepare, fighting to get a good outcome. Even if they couldn't excel among their peers, the heavenly stairs was also known as heart-finding path, so for all of the disciples who were able to set foot on the stairs, this was still also a rare opportunity to temper their self-discipline, more or less. There would always be great benefits. If one was chosen to climb, anyone would definitely treasure this opportunity. Only one person, Yang Chen, had never, from start to finish, hoped to get selected. The heavenly stairs would open on this day, so following along the surroundings of the heavenly stairs, almost everything which could be used to sit and observe was occupied by disciples from every single sect. A large variety of talisman tools and talisman gems hovered over in the sky, but there were also many people flying in the air with the help of their own cultivation. Who would want to miss the opportunity of witnessing the most marvelous sight in the world? Those disciples who were preparing to climb the stairway to the heavens were really eager to try their luck and skill. Among them, there were more than 10 new talents with a high reputation, who were already planned to showcase their ability at the heavenly stairs to receive attention. Looking at their expressions, almost all of them exuded a lot of confidence. The previous records of the heavenly stairs were actually created by Zhanxian of the Blue Jade Immortal Island. At the heavenly stairs, she had climbed over a full 63 heavenly steps, which had surpassed all other cultivators before and since then. And now Zhanxian is widely accepted as a cultivation genius. There were countless smart and elegant youngsters who looked forward to gain Zhanxian's favor. Maybe they would have an opportunity to join the records, but that was simply wishful thinking. The 10 Zhanxian experts sat at their positions and soon, from the originally mediocre mountain steps, a feeble radiance began to twinkle. Looking at this, the rookies who were waiting to climb the heavenly stairs all grew serious. These flickering mountain steps could only then genuinely be called heavenly stairs. The first person to go up was a 7th Kai layer disciple of the Fengjin Palace Hall. Everyone blankly stared at him while he was climbing steadily up to the 3rd step of the heavenly stairs, reaching the 3rd grade heavenly rank. Soon afterwards his steps began to become disordered, suddenly quickening, then suddenly slowing. He climbed up until the 14th stair, after which he was not able to support himself anymore, and a moment later the heavenly stairs shone brightly, as this disciple of the Fengjin Palace Hall was directly sent to the foot of the mountain. Only after emerging at the foot of the mountain did the disciple of the Fengjin Palace Hall become aware of the fact that he had already been pushed out of the heavenly stairs. As he was unable to go and check the rank of heavenly stairs he was able to reach, he immediately sat down on the spot and began to meditate, as if he had entered the mode of sudden enlightenment. These kinds of circumstances were apparently a common thing, as everyone was aware of what was going on, but nevertheless nobody disturbed that disciple of Fengjin Hall. Everyone's vision started focusing on the second person to climb up the heavenly stairs. And at the same time many people began to talk. Zhanxian Palace Hall's fellow Taoist Xie was only able to climb 14 steps of the heavenly stairs, what a pity. I'm curious about what sort of enlightenment he gained. Nevertheless, we must look at the disciples of the greatest sky sect, universal sect, five phases sect, Clearsky sect and Blue Jade Immortal Islands. The disciples of these big sects will surely be interesting. While everyone was discussing, this year's new rookie disciples stepped forward one by one and in turn began to ascend onto the heavenly stairs. The radiance within the heavenly stairs continuously flickered, as if it wouldn't dim. In continuous turns, one climbed 17 steps, another climbed 23 stairs. These two disciples had a great reputation, were both renowned rookies, especially that disciple who had ascended 23 heavenly stairs. He was even more famous in the whole world. Everyone gasped in admiration when they saw this outcome. His reputation was not for nothing. The two rookies of the Moyan sect both went up 15 steps or lower. Apparently these two rookie disciples had come with the purpose of cherishing this opportunity to temper themselves, so they did not care about this outcome. So when these two disciples went up and returned, their faces actually had a cheerful expression, as if they had profited quite a bit. The Blue Jade Immortal Island sent a male disciple this time, and when he managed to cross over the 28th heavenly stair step, he immediately recited something. This was already the highest achievement within the 10 disciples who had ascended the heavenly stairs today. After coming down from the heavenly stairs, this disciple of the Blue Jade Immortal Island didn't immediately sit down in meditation to gain enlightenment, like the others, instead calmly sat at his original position, looking back at the performance of those disciples at the heavenly stairs, as if he was completely relaxed. However, just as that male disciple had barely come into the limelight, immediately a female disciple of the Blue Jade Immortal Island snatched away all of the attention. A 7th Kai layer disciple, the younger generation of Zhanxian, climbed up to the 35th step of the heavenly stairs. Apart from not being able to reach the level of Zhanxian, she would be a talented and promising disciple for sure at any time in future. This year the two rookie disciples of the Blue Jade Immortal Islands had both demonstrated extraordinary skill. These two rays shined exactly at the same time. Very quickly, it was the turn of Pure Yang Palace's two disciples to ascend the heavenly stairs. Due to Yang Chen's duel earlier, the Pure Yang Palace had left a deep impression on everyone's mind. Yang Chen beheading Han Giant with one slash of his blade had left an impression on the hearts of the other sects, even though they did not speak about it. Everyone had always thought that since both of them were from famous and upright sects, they had no need to fight each other to the death. Merely this Yang Chen from Pure Yang Palace was quite clever, he directly refused to compare notes, everyone knew about this. In addition to that, Yang Chen had made it clear beforehand that he immediately conceded to comparing notes in order to experience his real strength, so he immediately asked for a life and death duel. In order to save face, Han Giant had initiated the life and death challenge towards Yang Chen. Many people selectively overlooked this little point, however. Perhaps Yang Chen defeating the 6 Kai layer Han Giant with the strength of the 2nd Kai layer made people feel that he was provoking their prestige as seniors, adding to that Yang Chen's background as an executioner made them not very fond of Yang Chen. By association, they had similar feelings towards the other disciple of Pure Yang Palace Gongsun Ling. Senior apprentice sister, the heavenly stairway illusionary spell is probably different from any illusionary spells you have studied. Just before Gongsun Ling was going to climb the heavenly stairs, Yang Chen called out to her and softly said, "Sometimes, it will possibly attack the weak points in your nature. Senior apprentice sister, at the critical time you must be like the sound of thunder and hit like lightning, not just staying passive, but actively fighting back." Gongsun Ling was astonished before Yang Chen had told her this, she absolutely hadn't thought about it. Moreover, Yang Chen's words were filled with total confidence, as if Yang Chen understood this heavenly stairs illusionary spell very clearly. This made Gongsun Ling helplessly amazed. Fortunately, Gongsun Ling was confident that Yang Chen would never harm her, so she faintly nodded and smiled towards Yang Chen, then she stepped onto the first heavenly stair step. Among the 10 Zhanxian stage experts, only Zhanxian was from the Pure Yang Palace, the other 9 were holding back on restraining the excessive energy, wanting to shame the Pure Yang Palace by increasing the difficulty. As Gongsun Ling stepped on the first heavenly stair step, she immediately felt that mountainous pressure. Pure Yang Palace's a 2nd Kai layer disciple was in the limelight a few days before. I do not know what this female disciple can show. Humph, you are making things unnecessarily complicated. When have you ever seen a 2nd Kai layer disciple kill a 6 Kai layer disciple? There is a difference of 4 realms between these two, or where have you ever seen a 2nd Kai layer disciple who can use a talisman gem? Pure Yang Palace certainly wants to mislead us this time with deceptions and deliberate falsehoods. If it were not that only Kai layer disciples could ascend the heavenly stairs, maybe the Pure Yang Palace would have brought foundation stage disciples from the sect. Hahaha. Among the numerous comments, this voice was absolutely unique, the volume was also very high. At least all of the spectators heard it very clearly. Originally everyone was astonished that Yang Chen was able to kill Han Giant, but having heard this voice, all of them came to the realization that it actually was like this. A blade who could behead a disciple of the 6 Kai layer in one slash, if that blade was said to be ordinary, who would believe it? That blade was a first-rate talisman tool, or even a talisman gem for certain. And controlling a talisman gem was an ability only people above 6th and 7th Kai layer possessed. For a 6th or even 7th layer cultivator with a talisman tool to surpass a 6 Kai layer cultivator was not worthy to be bragged about. Yang Chen was at 2nd Kai layer, these claims were Pure Yang Palace's words, and were also Yang Chen's words, other people were naturally unable to test whether they were true or false, only if Yang Chen agreed to let these people's spirit power enter his body and do as they please. Naturally Yang Chen could not allow this kind of thing, and those other people were also not senseless enough to demand this kind of authentication of Yang Chen's cultivation. That person who said this had precisely used this one point to increase the suspicion of other people, so immediately a majority of people looked at Yang Chen with disdain, at the same time their looks toward Gongsun Ling had also turned somewhat abnormal. If Pure Yang Palace was using this kind of method, spreading obscure facts to win favors, that was really very low kind of thing to do. All of these people were apparently under the impression that their own discoveries within their hearts were the truth, also all of them were expecting that this time the Pure Yang Palace would not receive anything from the heavenly stairs. Obviously Gongsun Ling was already at the 10th heavenly stair step, but these meddlesome people had already started commenting that Gongsun Ling could still walk only a few more steps, after that she would be immediately pushed out by the heavenly stairs. Gongsun Ling was walking neither too slow nor too fast on the heavenly stairs, but absolutely steady. So far she had shown no signs of any hurriedness. Under the people's expecting gazes, she calmly and steadily ascended 10 more steps and as before still did not show any signs of panic or instability. This fellow Taoist Gongsun is a spell formation expert. Someone seemed to have realized something and loudly shouted. Hearing this, everyone immediately felt contempt again. The Pure Yang Palace obviously knew that these heavenly stairs were an illusionary spell, so they actually sent a spell formation expert of the sect to go in. This fellow Taoist Gongsun's reputation was not prominent, so she must have been painstakingly studying the spell formations. If she achieved a good ranking this year by doing this, then it would surely mean that the Pure Yang Palace was committing all manners of crimes to gain fame and reputation. What a pity, this Gongsun Ling was such a fine and beautiful woman, perhaps she had become the sex rookie by herself, there had to be some strength, surely. Merely under these sort of plans of the Pure Yang Palace, she had landed the label of a trickster as a good person, what a pity. Most people looking at Gongsun Ling's elegant figure and dainty appearance released a sigh within their hearts. Regardless of what everyone was thinking, Gongsun Ling had steadily stepped onto the 30th step of the heavenly stairs at the same pace as before. After this step, even those people who held her in contempt, thinking that she was a formation expert, also could not help but feel admiration. To be able to climb up to the 30th step of the heavenly stairs signified an absolutely good talent. Spell formation experts are also cultivators, there was no rule that spell formation experts could not try to ascend the heavenly stairs. Even in this situation, Gongsun Ling's steps were as stable as before, merely her speed had slowed a little bit. 31st, 32nd, 33rd, 34th, 35th, when she had reached the 35th step, Gongsun Ling had already equaled the record of that female disciple from the Green Jade Immortal Island. But she was still not finished, as before she still firmly moved upwards, only the expression on her face had become very solemn, as if she was facing a very strong enemy. Sparkling and translucent beads of sweat appeared on her snow-white skin. 40th, 45th, 50th, the spectators had already thrown away those scornful remarks beyond the topmost clouds. To be able to reach the 50th step of the heavenly stairs required absolute talent within talent, this time, the Pure Yang Palace had picked up a gem. On the 53rd step, Gongsun Ling's figure began to shake. It seemed as if she had to face an immense pressure with every forward. She was a delicate woman with a feeble appearance, but her willpower did not lose to any of the men present on the scene. Gongsun Ling's performance had already obtained everyone's approval. 58, 59, 60th, 61st, under the gazes of all of those nervous people, many of whom had even started counting, Gongsun Ling finally couldn't persevere anymore. After she stepped on the 62nd step, her figure shook and she disappeared, emerging at the foot of the mountain. Bang! As if there had been a huge explosion, an enormous noise flared up. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 42. Let's see how many can you execute. After this, the people who were watching the heavenly stairs suddenly remembered that the record of the heavenly stairs belonged to Green Jade Immortal Island's Zhanxian for climbing 63 steps. Now, an unknown female disciple from the Pyongyang Palace had surprisingly climbed 62 steps, chasing directly behind the Zhanxian of back then. Although it was slightly worse when compared to Shy Fairy, it was still a surprising record that made people astonished. This was definitely the best record in this year's assembly to climb the heavenly stairs, and the people standing there and watching had, from the beginning to the end, witnessed this valiant new record being born. And comparing this record of the 62nd step of the heavenly stairs, the previous record of 35 steps of the heavenly stairs by that female disciple of the Green Jade Immortal Island was just a joke. At this time the people had stopped spouting nonsense like calling her spell formation expert and other ridiculous talks. Even if she were a formation expert, Gongsun Ling had climbed up to the 62nd step of the heavenly stairs under the eyes of numerous people. Even if someone could still not accept this, but facing these kinds of circumstances, apart from being shocked, he could not help but feel admiration. As for the other people who were spreading false words, like she cheated, they were absolutely speechless. Especially those Zhanxian stage experts in charge of the heavenly stairs this year. Apart from Zhanxian, each and everyone knew what was going on. At the time when Gongsun Ling was climbing the heavenly stairs, they had a silent agreement and exerted a lot of pressure on Gongsun Ling. One has to know that these few Zhanxian experts had joined together to bully a disciple at the Kai layer, but even under these kinds of circumstances, Gongsun Ling unexpectedly still climbed to the 62nd step of heavenly stair, which, when compared to Zhanxian, was not a large difference. Zhanxian almost exploded with happiness. In this year's floating mountain assembly, the Pyongyang Palace was simply in a league of its own, which no other sect could compare to. Leaving aside Yang Chen, who had chopped off the head of Tianquan sect's Han Jinade, only Gongsun Ling climbing to the 62nd step of the heavenly stairs was sufficient to make people acknowledge that Pyongyang Palace had a talent comparable to Shy Fairy of the Green Jade Immortal Island. The faint ridicule by these fellow Taoists of other sects due to the sect's disciples' lame performances in the past would also disappear. Once he thought of this point, Zhanxian felt pleasure, as if he had gotten a watermelon in the midst of summer. In the future, who would dare to talk arrogantly in front of him? Aside from the Green Jade Immortal Island, even the insufferably arrogant disciples of the greatest Sky sect wouldn't dare to say half a word in the face of such an achievement by Gongsun Ling. Just one disciple, Gongsun Ling, was sufficient to allow Pyongyang Palace to blow off all of the steam. Remembering what happened so far, when Zhanxian looked in the other directions where the 9 other Zhanxian stage experts were sitting, although he did not yet dare to boast, he was also no longer lowering his head. Because the shock brought by Gongsun Ling was too great, the other Zhanxian stage experts stayed their hand. When Zhanxian saw the other 9, the pride on his face was hardly concealed. Facing Gongsun Ling's record, the other 9 Zhanxian experts had to silently tolerate this kind of proudness shown by Zhanxian. Despite not feeling well about it within their hearts, they had no way of doing anything about it, as they had no such outstanding disciples in their own sects. After being pushed down by the heavenly stairs, Gongsun Ling appeared at the foot of the mountain, but due to the enormous effort spent at the heavenly stairs, she could barely take a step. Surprisingly, feeling a softness in her foot, she couldn't help but fall down. From the beginning, Yang Chen had seen everything, so he swiftly moved forward and reached out his hand to support Gongsun Ling's delicate body. At the time his hand had touched Gongsun Ling's waist, her skin was so smooth that Yang Chen couldn't help but feel a shiver within his heart. When Gongsun Ling came in contact with Yang Chen's hand, trying to help her, the color of her face turned red, and she was just about to push it away. However, she sensed that in the region where Yang Chen had caught her, there was a portion of earth-attributed spirit power. Just a moment later, this spirit power forced itself into more than half of Gongsun Ling's body, which replenished her exhausted spirit power a little. By means of this portion of spirit power, Gongsun Ling was able to stabilize herself. She showed a smile to Yang Chen and said, "Many thanks, younger brother Yang." Other people thought Gongsun Ling was thanking Yang Chen for supporting her when falling down, but Gongsun Ling was very clearly thanking him for the advice Yang Chen had given her before she walked up the heavenly stairs. If it were not for those words, perhaps she would have been unable to support herself after the 50th step. Reaching the 62nd step was only because of the Yang Chen's warning. Everything that happened on the heavenly stairs was still fresh in her memory, especially those last few steps simply exhausted all the energy in her body. However, it also allowed Gongsun Ling to gain some deeper benefits. The later attacks of the illusionary land were completely based on those weaknesses in her temperament which are impossible to defend against. If it were not for Yang Chen's warning, she would not have known how to deal with it. Of the people who climbed the heavenly stairs, almost all of them would immediately sit and meditate to comprehend the insights they have gained. Gongsun Ling, however, didn't sit down at once, rather she rested a little and sat down after that on the side, where she calmly started meditating. She very much wanted to know how many steps Yang Chen, who had given her direction, would be able to climb. After the brief shock and discussion, the 10 Zhanxian stage experts again entered the state of mind to power the stairs. The heavenly stairs started issuing a faint radiance again, declaring publicly that the next person could set foot on the heavenly stairs. Next, after Gongsun Ling was precisely Yang Chen. Yang Chen looked at the faint radiance emitted by the heavenly stairs as if he was not facing the heavenly stairs, but rather some common lane. He casually lifted his foot and without making any decent preparatory actions, he immediately stepped to go up. Just a moment ago they had seen an exceptional talent both carefully and cautiously ascend the heavenly stairs, but now suddenly in front of them was a guy who was so sloppy that even Pure Yang Palace's Zhanxian felt some dissatisfaction. Even if he did not care about this, shouldn't he still make a proper appearance? Acting so casual, compared to a genius disciple such as Gongsun Ling, he was simply losing face for Pure Yang Palace. The other 9 Zhanxian stage experts were even more dissatisfied. And at exactly this time, from within the other people who were watching, someone said, aiming at Yang Chen. Oh dear, an executioner always remains an executioner, it is impossible for him to show any elegance. In short, this resonated with the feelings within everyone's hearts. The bystanders didn't need to say anything, the 9 Zhanxian stage experts had once again formed a silent agreement, since Yang Chen did not value this experience much, they had to teach him an unforgettable lesson. His background was that of an executioner, that alone already made him a hot topic for discussion. Humph, an executioner who kills without any regards. Yan Quansek's foreign affair hall felt a lot of resentment at him in his heart. Han Giant had died under Yang Chen's hands, even if what Han Giant did was not correct, he was still Tian Quansek's disciple. For him to be killed by Yang Chen, that had made the Tian Quansek lose face. Thinking this, the hallmaster made the resolve. Let's see how many you can kill. The 10 Zhanxian experts managing the heavenly stairs, every one of them can add their own imaginations to the illusions of the heavenly stairs. This was the unique feature of the illusionary land of the heavenly stairs and was also the most difficult part of the heart-finding path. The most serious trouble was that the 10 Zhanxian stage experts responsible for the spell formation could even communicate with each other freely, using their spirit power and harmonize their coordination. When Gongsun Ling was climbing the heavenly stairs, apart from Zhanxian, the other 9 trifled with her by using this skill, cooperating with each other to create obstructions for Gongsun Ling. Now when Yang Chen had stepped on the heavenly stairs, everyone still used the same trick. Only this time it was due to the initiation by Tian Quansek's hallmaster, that's all. As soon as he stepped on the first step of the heavenly stairs, Yang Chen felt as if he had been transported to the execution grounds. In front of him were 10 prisoners properly bound and ready to be executed, while he was already wearing his red silk girdle and his upper body exposed, carrying within his hand the executioner's blade, dressed as an executioner. It was just that the executioner's blade had the appearance of the fearful blade which he had at the Zhantai stage, which was also similar to the sword box which Yang Chen had kept within the achievement ring. Illusions are born in the mind, everything could still only use the knowledge within Yang Chen's mind as the foundation, only then it was able to draw support from spell formation's power and form the illusionary land. Seeing this, Yang Chen just smiled in contempt. Wanting to embarrass Yang Chen. Was this not just walking right into their own trap? He waved the fearful blade within his hand and within a moment all of the 10 prisoners lost their heads. The scene before his eyes had a slight change and the 10 people changed into 100. The 100 then again changed into 1,000. No matter the number of people, generally speaking, the only issue for Yang Chen was the number of times he had to slash his blade, not to spend time pondering. Every time he waved his blade, there would be no hesitation, one blade, one person. Only one slash of the blade was required to remove a head, there would never be a second slash. After finishing with chopping down 1,000 heads, the prisoners present before he finally changed. Originally, the prisoners consisted of some strong men, but this time they consisted of female convicts. The group consisted of many varieties of females, some were very charming, some frail, elegant and soft, some had a haughty appearance, some however had an extremely gentle appearance. Every one of them had different characteristics. Then women, some were shouting of false accusations, some were weeping endlessly, some were full of tender feelings, and some of them were glaring at him. But Yang Chen did not hesitate in the least bit as before, one slash, one head, and he killed these women. Following which were 100 women, then 1,000 women, pleading, enticing, bawling out, respectful, various sorts of women appeared here, and the figures of them became more and more wonderful and elegant, their faces also became increasingly beautiful, appearing as if, so long as Yang Chen was willing, they were ready to warm the bed for him, if only Yang Chen did not swing the blade. No matter what sort of woman he was facing, Yang Chen slashed his blade without feeling any tenderness. After the women, the prisoners turned into old and gray-haired elderly men, 10, 100, 1,000. Yang Chen spent a very long time within the illusionary land, cutting so many heads, but in reality, everyone only saw Yang Chen climbing step by step, up to the 9th step. Does he really have a heart of stone? Yan Quan Sex 4 in a fair hall's hallmaster felt gloomy within his heart, who could behead several thousand people without hesitating in the least. He however not given up at this point, instead, it aroused his fighting spirit. I don't believe you can behead any person with your hands. Before Yang Chen's appeared 10 young children, including both girls and boys. However, Yang Chen basically did not care about them, and like a machine, he slashed his blade, and in a flash 100 young children, then 1,000 young children were all beheaded by Yang Chen. Wah. 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 This sound came from the 10 infants crying piteously for food, their small bodies wrapped within swaddling clothes, who had appeared on the execution grounds. This heart-finding path, since I have decided to walk the road of an executioner, I don't care about the identity of the convict. Yang Chen resolutely replied to himself, and within his hand, the fearful blade appeared, not at all hesitating to behead the 10 infants still wrapped within their swaddling clothes. Soon afterwards there were once again 100 and then 1,000 infants. After the infants, there were ferocious animals, evil spirits, fierce devils and other mythical monsters. Facing these, Yang Chen hesitated even less, no matter how great the enticement, the threats by devils and monsters, the pitiful pleas to confuse him, or even the magical attacks used by demons and ghouls, they had absolutely no effect on him. It was as if Yang Chen had turned a blind eye in response to those, merely beheading them one by one, using his blade. After he finished beheading those monsters and demons, in front of Yang Chen appeared the people he knew. Sun Haijing, beheaded. Zhu Hang, beheaded. Han Jian, beheaded. His 4 servants, Shen Da, Holin, Gu Qin and Yuan Ting, respectfully saluting Yang Chen, as before, were still greeted with a beheading in response. After these 4 servants, Shang Yuanfeng and Wang Yuan appeared in succession, and Yang Chen beheaded them without hesitation. Zhu Chengxin, beheaded. Sun King Shu, beheaded. Shai Shan Shan, beheaded. Yu Qian, beheaded. Zhu Chen Tao, beheaded. Gongsun Ling, beheaded. Father and mother, beheaded. Master, beheaded. The people appearing had more and more importance in Yang Chen's heart, but Yang Chen just did not care who the person appearing before him was, as if his only intention was to temper himself in this illusionary land, hardly hesitating before beheading these individuals one by one. It didn't even raise any great waves within his heart. All of them were entirely within this illusionary land, so it didn't put any mental burden on Yang Chen. Disciple, you have finally reached the end of the heavenly stairs. Yang Chen stopped waving the blade like a machine, and suddenly the whole scenario changed. He had already been transported to the foot of floating mountain. On the side, the exhausted Gongsun Ling had already recovered by much, cheerfully talking while looking at Yang Chen, pride and arrogance on her face. His ears were suddenly filled with a burst of noise. Shock, questions, frantic, various sorts of yelling noises flooded Yang Chen's ears. A second disciple of the Kai layer had unexpectedly ascended all the steps of the heavenly stairs, this was simply an impossible matter. Zhu Chengxin's voice came through distantly, and within his voice was a hearty laugh, as if flaunting to all people. Ha 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 ha, my pure Yang Palace's disciple Yang Chen has climbed all the steps of heavenly stairs, which has not happened from the time immemorial and will never happen again, who still dares not to acknowledge him. The feeling of pride was exhibited in his speech, his words shook the heavens itself. After the initial doubt and shock, all of the spectators no longer had that sort of disdain in their eyes, rather it changed to adoration, envy and unacceptance, all mixed. The more it played out like this, the more Yang Chen questioned the coherence of what was happening, as he seemed to convince the enemy even more thoroughly than the people on his own side. Fellow Taoist Yang, at the beginning I had assumed that you were a 7th Kai layer expert, pretending to be at the 2nd Kai layer, and it seems that I was wrong. I apologize to fellow Taoist Yang and ask fellow Taoist Yang to forgive me. That guy, who had called Yang Chen's big mouth into question earlier, appeared and admitted defeat in front of Yang Chen. Fellow Taoist Yang's determination is very firm, myself admires him. It is a pity that these pleasant words are also only an illusion and nothing more. Yang Chen's eyes suddenly shone clearly, and the fearful blade appeared within his hand suddenly and slashed directly towards the person who was speaking, after which he suddenly turned and directly slashed towards Gongsun Ling's neck. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 43 Setting foot on the peak. 2 slashes, 2 heads rolling over. Blood splattered everywhere and a great disorder spread among the surrounding people. You monster, what are you doing? Disciples of the same sect killing each other, betraying the teacher and exterminating the ancestor. After reprimanding him countless times, some of them became very impatient, even already taking out talisman gems. But as soon as the Zhanxian stage experts in charge of the heavenly stairs issued the command, all the others immediately flocked around him, desiring to dismember Yang Chen's body into 1,000 pieces. Humph. Yang Chen coldly humphed and disdainfully said. Even if you illusions pretend to be real, in my eyes, you are still just illusions for me to destroy. Shua. Suddenly everything disappeared and now in Yang Chen's eyes, only a stairway which was limitless and leading to the ends of the earth was left. One could not even see the ends of the stairway. On every step, a single person was stationed, looking coldly at Yang Chen. Willfully slaughtering the innocent, you will die without a burial ground. When Yang Chen was setting foot on the first step of the stairs, on the step, a disciple of Yishu Manor of the Pure Yang Palace was stationed. These words were flung at Yang Chen. Hacha. As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Chen extended his hand and slashed once, soon directly stepping onto the second step of the stairs. To the one who kills without any regards, be careful of karmic judgment. On the second step, another disciple of the Yishu Manor was stationed similarly and also spoke a similar phrase about the wrongness of killing a living creature. Yang Chen's way to respond, however, was absolutely simple. Just one slash, no matter who the other person was, he just simply slashed and afterwards moved on to the next step. All of the people gave an identical reason, 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people. Yang Chen himself did not know how many had he killed, nor how many reasons had he listened to. Yang Chen recognized those disciples of the Pure Yang Palace. All of these long dead people announced their identities when they appeared. Greatest Sky Sect, Universal Sect, Clear Sky Sect, Five Phases Sect, Green Jade Immortal Island and Tianquan Sect's countless disciples, all were killed and beheaded by Yang Chen, one by one. Apart from these, there were also those prisoners who were killed by Yang Chen just a moment ago, including the old, the feeble, the sick, as well as those infants. The words they said were told to Yang Chen, at least, 1,000 or 10,000, and every time he heard them, he would consult his own heart. 3 people are enough to make a tiger, ed. Note. We're not sure about this idiom, hearing the same thing many times can convince a person that these words are the truth. This was increased by the fact that all of these thousands of people here were all repeating the same arguments, again and again, just wanting to denounce Yang Chen's conduct and deeds. The heavenly stairs were also known as heart-finding path, and the words of all of these people were almost entirely aiming at Yang Chen's identity as an executioner. Adding to that, the people he killed earlier, all of the people who appeared, had the aim of making Yang Chen waver by using the people he had killed previously. Yang Chen was aware that as long as he was to waver even a little bit due to the words of these people, it would immediately destabilize his foundation and he would be pushed out of the heavenly stairs. In the end, all this didn't have any effect on Yang Chen, he just kept on slashing his blade like a machine, killing, one by one, stepping onto the next step. The cultivation bases of the people appearing became greater and greater. Foundation stage disciples, Zhanxian stage masters, these disciple with great cultivation, were not only using words to disturb Yang Chen, but they were also trying to oppress Yang Chen with their imposing auras, to make Yang Chen yield. But unfortunately, no matter what sort of ways these people used, Yang Chen would always remain unmoved. However, before every slash Yang Chen carried out, he would always ask himself if he would feel regret for the people he killed and those he would still kill, or not. Then, in a brief moment, Yang Chen would take care of them and would not feel even the least bit of regret. Originally when he was at the Zhantai stage, the will of the fearful blade had already entered Yang Chen's body and after Yang Chen left the Zhantai stage, that fierce will didn't disappear from within Yang Chen's body, rather it went into hibernation. Perhaps it was because it had killed too many immortals, so when facing ordinary people that killing intent didn't rise. However at that time due to these hundreds and thousands of words, all asking the same question, the killing intent was finally roused. Under Yang Chen's incessant questioning of his inner being and the beheading of people without the slightest hesitation, this portion of killing intent began to slowly rise. The Yang Chen from before would kill just to kill and have never before thought whether the killing was right or wrong or whether it was right to kill like this, however now, walking every step, he would think over this question. And every time Yang Chen came to a conclusion, his innermost being was tempered. Having no regret was precisely his true feeling. When his conviction became more and more steady, then no matter what he would do it fearlessly. Because he truly felt no regret, the will of the Zhantai stage started fusing with Yang Chen's true feelings bit by bit. While he was harshly examining his innermost being, it had apparently sped up this mixing process, and every time he questioned his innermost being, a trace was fused together. After few 10,000 times, Yang Chen had already completed almost half of the mixing process. The complexion of the Zhanxian stage experts who were responsible for maintaining the spell formation became more and more earnest. Initially, they believed that they could easily suppress this minor second Kai layer disciple, however, the present circumstances were anything but encouraging. By now Yang Chen had already stepped on the 50th rank of the heavenly stairs and he still hadn't shown any signs of stopping. These few Zhanxian stage experts had prepared this kind of examining the hard hurdle for Yang Chen, however, it had instead begun to influence them. The loftiness of these Zhanxian experts was not only unable to suppress Yang Chen, rather it had increased the killing intent on his body to the extreme. Even if it were these Zhanxian stage experts just now coming in contact with this will, they couldn't help but shudder. Even if it was a unique and fearful devil, they wouldn't have this kind of fear which had emerged from their innermost being. However, one minor second Kai layer disciple of the younger generation had made them feel this kind of sensation. Only, at the moment, they were responsible for maintaining the spell formation so they could not leave. Of the 10 Zhanxian stage experts, at least, those 9 were not able to endure this kind of killing intent, which nobody could confront, coming from Yang Chen's body, but they were also unable to stop him. Most of these Zhanxian stage experts were secretly cursing that Yan Quan sex foreign affair hall's hallmaster in order to avenge his sex hand giant and to vent his frustration. He had absolutely insisted on making use of Yang Chen's identity as an executioner to test him. If you ride a tiger, it's hard to get off, the outcome of that was the current situation. Yang Chen's killing intent became more and more vigorous, they were even unaware that after his improvement by being minced and ground by the heavenly stairs, Yang Chen's killing intent had transformed by that much. Only at the moment, they could not afford to care about this, what they were concerned about was how long Yang Chen would be able to support himself, because they almost could not support him going on. On the outside, the spectators were all entirely dumbstruck. With Gongsun Ling climbing to the 62nd step, she was indeed a talent. However, currently, Pure Yang Palace's second Kai layer disciple could surprisingly also climb up to the 50th step of heavenly stairs. What is this? Had the talent of the Pure Yang sect suddenly exploded this year? Yan Quan sect's Zhanxian expert was complaining endlessly in his heart, how could he have known, he couldn't possibly have known, that just because he was incited by Gongsun Ling demonstrating her extraordinary talent, it had created disequilibrium within his heart. Adding to that the affair of Yang Chen beheading Han Giant, his heart had suddenly exploded and just because of this curious coincidence, he wanted to exploit Yang Chen's background of being an executioner to suppress him and destroy Yang Chen's Tao foundation, but now it had evolved into this kind of situation. To use the guilt of killing incessantly to torture Yang Chen's heart, Tian Qian sect's Zhanxian stage expert's intention was also not so simple and without maliciousness. In case Yang Chen had wavered over the fact that he had killed, the outcome would not be as simple as him being thrown out of the heavenly stairs, rather these countless torturous questions were sufficient to stab a thorn into Yang Chen's most innermost being. Any time Yang Chen would want to advance his cultivation, because of wavering in his conviction, this thorn could evolve and turn into an enormous heart's devil. Then when the time came, not to mention breaking through to the next realm, just being able to live his life without being haunted by the terror of the heart's devil would already be the best possible outcome. Illusions are born in the mind, other people wouldn't know what Yang Chen's illusions were about. And these Zhanxian stage experts responsible for maintaining the spell formation were merely acting in accordance with a reflection of weak points of the person climbing the heavenly stairs. The purpose of doing this was so that they could provide their own imagination to attack, so that they could adapt to the illusions coming further ahead on the heavenly stairs, so that, when they were thrown out of the heavenly stairs, the tested person could gain some benefits and also learn of their own weak points. Yang Chen had faced the plans formed together by these Zhanxian stage experts and absolutely didn't have the opportunity to adapt to it and had directly withstood the incessant questions directed at his identity as an executioner. But now, not only did Yang Chen not withdraw, instead of being dragged down by these people, he became even more determined to not give up. All of the spirit power in the bodies of these Zhanxian stage experts was already entirely absorbed by the spell formation. Under this situation, they had no other choice but to begin taking magic potions incessantly to be able to keep the spell formation working. Even under this situation they did not dare to give up, in case they let down their guard, the spell formation would, in turn, devour them. Compared to the exhaustion of their spirit power, that outcome was far more dreadful. I don't believe that Yuan Ying and Da Cheng stage experts would also be unable to suppress him. The Zhanxian expert shouted within his heart. Pooh. He spat out a mouthful of blood and it blended within the spell formation. Bang. In front of Yang Chen, another expert appeared, his power and might incomparable to anyone before. Under this enormous pressure, Yang Chen even felt himself being forced to kneel on the ground. However, the surging killing intent within his mind did not in the least want to lose to this pressure and made him choose the option of slashing at the great expert. Every time he ascended one more step, it became incomparably more difficult. To the outsiders, Yang Chen's steps had already appeared to be slowing, little by little. Every step was getting matchlessly difficult, it appeared as if he would lose at any moment now. 57th, 58th, 59th, in a moment Yang Chen was going to step on the 60th step. The countless people watching outside were already thoroughly dumbstruck. Both of Pure Yang Palace's Kai layer disciples were simply monsters. One was at the 6th Kai layer and the other only at the 2nd Kai layer. These people did not know any other way to describe them. Yang Chen's footsteps had still not stopped, however, and as before he was steadily continuing forward. Despite being slow, they hadn't stopped even once since the beginning. Ha-cha. As if after he had stepped into another space, Yang Chen suddenly felt all of the pressure around him disperse. In front of Yang Chen, the people he remembered from the spiritual world appeared, and no matter whether they had a good or bad relationship with him, facing Yang Chen, they would merely incessantly ask him the same questions. Now, on every step, 2 more people appeared. The original pressure, however, didn't have any increase in quality. Yang Chen had realized that these Zhanxian experts were making Yuanying and Dacheng stage experts appear, but were only barely able to imitate their imposing manner. However, the experts had already expended most of their energy, so they were basically not in any position to be able to imitate that sort of imposing manner and state, but, on the contrary, it made Yang Chen feel like the pressure had lessened. The will of the Zhantai stage was fusing itself with Yang Chen. Apparently the more people Yang Chen killed, the higher its approval of him became, fusing with him even more. As Yang Chen moved upward step by step on the heavenly stairs, the Zhanxian experts on the outside were already incapable of persisting. Apart from Zhanxian, who was providing just enough spirit power for the spell formation to work, the others were already becoming more and more desperate. They even dared to behead those seniors who have already ascended to the spiritual world. Who could possibly still create problems for him? Yang Chen had already reached the step which had neither predecessors nor will ever have successors. The 80th step. This had led to all of the other 9 Zhanxian stage experts to feel despair in their hearts. All of them had already contributed a mouthful of their blood essence. Their consciousness was almost unable to resist now. If the illusionary space was broken, that would mean that the cultivators responsible would be devoured instead. The Tianquan Sec's Foreign Affair Hall's hallmaster clenched his teeth and formed a resolution. Pooh. Pooh. 2 mouthfuls of blood essence sprayed above the center of the spell formation, he greatly regretted what had happened within his heart. I refuse to believe. You dare to behead in the spiritual world, but are you also daring enough to behead immortals of the heavenly court? After an exchange with their spiritual awareness, the other Zhanxian experts responsible for the spell formation also agreed with this decision, and all of them coughed up 2 mouthfuls of blood essence and began the final duel between them and Yang Chen. All of them were delighted in their hearts, but they were not in the least aware that when Yang Chen faced the people from the heavenly court, even that last little bit of pressure had completely faded away. These guys had all already died at his hand, so while Yang Chen still met with their questions, how could he admit that killing them was wrong? On the later steps, Yang Chen was able to increase his pace again, first walking rapidly until he was running as fast as the wind when he finally reached that last 100th step of the heavenly stairs. As Yang Chen had reached this step, the emotions of the entire crowd at the floating mountain began to boil. Since the time heavenly stairs had been created, never before had anyone been able to climb to the top. However now, everyone was witnessing a legend being born before their eyes. Pure Yang Palace's 2nd Kai layer disciple Yang Chen had unexpectedly reached the apex of the heavenly stairs. This was just miraculous. Countless talismans flew into the sky around the floating mountain, and in a flash, the sky was hidden from view. At the instant when Yang Chen ascended the peak, all of the 10 Zhanxian stage experts simultaneously coughed up blood. But Zhanxian was merely supporting the spell, so for him, it was only his spiritual influence's wear and tear, so long as he would recuperate for 3 to 5 days, he would recover very quickly. Zhanxian was very ecstatic within his heart, a Pure Yang Palace's disciple had ascended the entire heavenly stairs, the Pure Yang Palace had never before shown like this. Indeed, the other Zhanxian experts hadn't been as lucky as that. Even before they had already coughed up few mouthfuls of blood essence, but after this mouthful, even their internal organs started shaking. Even if they had the best elixirs, they couldn't recover to their earlier prowess within a short time, even if they were able to recuperate to their current state within half a year, they would already be fortunate. Only who would take notice of what was happening here, as everyone's vision was entirely fixed on that radiant and lofty figure standing at the peak of the heavenly stairs. All of them wanted to know what kind of benefits one would receive after ascending to the top of the heavenly stairs. At that time, Yang Chen was stuck in the final process of the fusion of his killing intent and was unable to move at all for the time being. The heavenly stairs under his foot, however, had begun to make spirit power rush forth and enter his body, as if the heavenly stairs were trying to assist him. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 44. Surely he cheated. The will of the Zhantai stage had almost fused together with Yang Chen, with only 3/10 left unfused. But when Yang Chen had reached the top of heavenly stairs, the fusion had started to rapidly slow down. It seemed that the excitement of the slaughter in the later part of the heavenly stairs was already enough to make the fierce will interested. The process of fusion finally halted slowly, a moment after Yang Chen had ascended the peak. Even so, Yang Chen, who was standing tall and straight at the top of the heavenly stairs, was still emitting a killing intent which could make everyone tremble and shudder from head to toe. When those Zhanxian experts who were sitting nearest to him absorbed this intent, the 9 of them who had sustained rather heavy injuries groaned and then, soon afterward, fainted. Only one person, Zhanxian, was conscious, and although a fear had emerged from within his heart, he was still extremely delighted because, after all was said and done, Yang Chen was still a disciple of the Pure Yang Palace, and this was magnificent feat, which would add to the face of his sect. Within Yang Chen's body, a portion of spirit power that was valiant to the extreme rushed in. It had the strength of the blood essence, spat out by those Zhanxian experts in the final moment. 10 portions of spirit energy rapidly circulated within Yang Chen's meridians, attempting to facilitate the complete fusion of Yang Chen with the will of the Zhantai stage. After this fusion had stopped, the leftover spirit power began to crazily restore Yang Chen's body. 10 Zhantai stage experts, even if they had reached the state where the oil in the lamp had dried up, the blood essence they had released with their last spirit power was still far better when compared to the medicinal strength of 10 profound Yang fruits, moreover. This portion of spirit power had passed through the heavenly stairs and had been transformed into pure spirit power by this formation, which even rendered the need to purify the medicinal power unnecessary. The reverse yin and yang 5 phases crazily revolved, using this gigantic amount of spirit power, it began to compress and refine it to the extreme. Fortunately, the heavenly stairs spell formation had already slowly stopped working after losing the people responsible for managing the spell formation, otherwise, Yang Chen would not be able to endure this enormous spirit power. His meridians expanded at an unprecedented pace. Luckily Yang Chen's body has been transformed by the life essence of countless immortals and had become incomparably strong, so although it had already been pushed to the extreme, it was still able to support him. It was Yang Chen's luck that the heavenly stairs sensory spell formation had discovered that a large amount of spirit power was required for the fusion of Yang Chen's will and the will of the Zhantai stage, which was then pulled out from these 10 Zhanxian experts. Currently, the fusion was still not complete, but if there were still people ready to take care of the spell formation, Yang Chen would absolutely explode due to overflowing spirit power. If he were to be allowed to once again face the barrier, where the pressure had suddenly increased, the remaining spirit power was nothing he would be worried about. Finally, someone discovered the current circumstances of the Zhanxian experts. Greatly alarmed, the people watching were unable to pay any more attention to him. Soon, Yang Chen began to have a moment of realization at the peak of the heavenly stairway. Thereupon, flustered people started appearing to support the 10 Zhanxian experts, and soon they started using their own magic potions to help them, trying to outdo one another. This time, could be used to sow good karma with Zhanxian stage experts. Compared to a few magic potions, this was far more valuable. Ling raised her head to look at the figure of that person sitting upright at the peak of the heavenly stairs, and satisfaction flashed within her eyes, however she discovered that within her heart she was not all that amazed, as if it was a natural affair for Yang Chen to ascend to the peak of the heavenly stairs. This sensation was similar to the one that she had felt when she met Yang Chen for the first time, merely at that time she had not discovered this. The people of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion very rapidly arranged a good place for Zhanxian to rest, and Ling also didn't need to be worried about receiving any surprise attacks at this time, so she was simply sitting at the same place and began to comprehend what she had gained at the heavenly stairs bit by bit, very quickly entering the state of enlightenment. Yang Chen at the peak of the heavenly stairs had to worry about someone approaching him with harmful intentions even less. Not to mention the many people who were attentively watching him, just the imposing manner emitted by his body could make people develop a sense of fear from far away and make their souls shudder. So there had been no one daring to approach within a radius of 100 meters around his body. An unconvinced and evil person launched a talisman gem. His intention was to probe Yang Chen's breath, however, as soon as the talisman gem had barely approached the circle of a 100-meter radius, that middle-grade talisman gem immediately began to shudder, as if trying to break itself free from its master's control. Scared, the master of the talisman gem hurriedly withdrew the talisman gem. Just this one moment of effort had already caused the talisman gem to drop half a grade, making the talisman gem's owner extremely regretful. Seeing this example, naturally any other person did not have any thoughts either, everyone could only look at Yang Chen with a gaze which contained extreme envy, sighing in their hearts about the good luck of the Pure Yang Palace. Two disciples, one had reached the 62nd step, another had directly climbed to the top. Could it be that from now on the pure Yang palace would greatly flourish? The reverse yin and yang 5 phases were operating automatically within Yang Chen's mind, however, this time, it was unprecedentedly relaxed and steady. If the previous him had still not approved of becoming Heavenly Court's executioner and seizing all sorts of opportunities, he had now completely approved of his previous decision. The heavenly stairs were a hard-finding path, it made Yang Chen's will even more resolute and furthermore gave him a sense of direction. The fusion with the will of the Zhanxian stage had already made him aware of what sort of road should he choose. At the time of his rebirth, Yang Chen had merely decided to not be the previous benevolent Yang Chen, but at this moment, Yang Chen had decided to become a Yang Chen who could face countless untold dangers and cut a bloody path through them. The spirit power passed on from the heavenly stairway, like a gentle and unending stream, which made it relatively simple for Yang Chen to refine these 10 portions of spirit power one by one. When Yang Chen had thrown himself wholeheartedly into refining this spirit power, the efficiency of the reverse yin and yang 5 phases had greatly increased in the process, the speed of absorbing the spirit power had also increased somewhat. The violent will of the Zhanxian stage reflected its stubbornness abundantly at this time. The spirit power entering into Yang Chen's body was immediately constrained by this will, not daring in the least to rush disorderly and create upheaval, allowing Yang Chen to be able to make steady progress in compressing and refining the spirit power, bit by bit. The surrounding people had no idea what Yang Chen was doing, but seeing Yang Chen sit in meditation, they all believed he has gained some enlightenment. The heavenly stairs suddenly emitted multicolored rays of light, as if, even without Zhedan experts, it could still operate as before. No one was aware of what was happening, however, they did understand that they should not move recklessly. Countless messages were sent to each and every sect. Those disciples of different sects meditating and comprehending at the foot of the heavenly stairs continuously began to wake up. Only Yang Chen was left sitting motionlessly at the top. In the next few days, these circumstances stayed the same, and the sects near the floating mountain already sent many experts, while the injured Zhedan stage experts also all woke up and began to heal. Finally, Yang Chen awoke from this state. When he opened his eyes, he immediately began to check his body from top to bottom, he felt a relaxation which couldn't be described in words. Within all of his body's meridians, a portion of overflowing spirit power was incessantly migrating, and this sensation made him extremely delighted. After careful examination, Yang Chen jumped on the spot, scared by the change in his body. The yin and yang 5 phases of spirit power within his body, which had been compressed and was refined, had already broken through the criterion of reaching the 3rd Chi layer. In other words, Yang Chen had unconsciously broken through the 2nd Chi layer and reached the 3rd Chi layer after climbing the heavenly mountain. Previously it had cost Yang Chen 1 year to break through from the 1st Chi layer to the 2nd Chi layer. The first 8 months he was burdened by the hidden pavilion, then he went through 3 months of bitter cultivation, and finally, after just setting out he spent time at the ancestor's place, where, while he was trying to collect the sword box by borrowing spirit power from the underground spirit vein, he had broken through to the 2nd Chi layer. From that breakthrough until now, merely half a year had passed at most. This half-year Yang Chen had leisurely followed a routine to cultivate and didn't try to painstakingly upgrade his strength. Who could have thought that with the assistance from the heavenly stairs, he would surprisingly make a breakthrough to the 3rd Chi layer. It was not that his total spirit power had increased and he had broken through to the 3rd Chi layer because of that, but rather, after using the reverse yin and yang method, the spirit power had become highly condensed and compacted, and at the same time, it not only consisted of just a single phase of spirit power, but rather all of the 5 phases. Furthermore, the 5 phases have both yin and yang spirit power, which would absolutely surpass an average 3rd Chi layer disciple. What made Yang Chen even more surprised was that, because of the fusion with the will of the Zhanxian stage, his body had seemingly began to emit killing intent, which was visible to the naked eye again. It was only because of the multicolored light reflected by heavenly stairs that the other people did not clearly notice it. Moreover, this killing intent was condensed to the extreme, it only appeared in a radius of 100 meters around him. Outside of this region other people could barely sense some fear, but it couldn't make their souls shudder, as if they were in front of a killing god. This kind of killing intent was the best result of 3 purity's secret. Thinking about this, Yang Chen opened his eyes after sensing the changes within his body and immediately closed them again, beginning to cultivate the 2nd stage of 3 purity's secret. The killing intent covering the surroundings of his body slowly began to get absorbed. This was the killing intent that the Zhanxian stage had accumulated over countless years, condensed over thousands and tens of thousands of years. Perhaps an immortal could utilize it with more power than Yang Chen, but it was still better than ordinary cultivators. Even under the crazy absorption of the 3 purity secret, it still took a day and night worth hard work to transform everything into spiritual awareness. With the assistance of this killing intent, Yang Chen's spiritual awareness finally reached the level of an expert at the peak of the foundation stage. The spiritual influence completely scattered, and as it did, it directly enveloped an area of several hundred meters, and each and every moment in the surroundings seemingly started to be monitored by Yang Chen. After spending 7 or 8 days of time, Yang Chen had increased his understanding of the heavenly stairs to the maximum. Apart from the people of the Puryang Palace, Thousand Autumn Pavilion and Gongsanling, nobody else was watching. Yang Chen's waking up hadn't given rise to a great many people's attention. Nevertheless, for someone to reach the peak of the heavenly stairs, this had already caused a ruckus in the entire cultivation world. In those days when Zhanxian climbed to the 63rd step of the heavenly stairs, it had already caused a great commotion, and anyone who had eyes could see how rapidly Zhanxian's cultivation had improved afterwards, and everyone in the cultivation world had tried to gain Shy Fairy's favor. In association with this, even the ranking of the Green Jade Immortal Islands had increased among the sects of the cultivation world. At that moment Puryang Palace showed off 2 talented disciples, one person climbing to the 62nd step, Gongsanling, and the other person was Yang Chen, who had directly climbed to the peak of heavenly stairs. To what sort of change this would lead, no one knew. The only thing that was certain was that Yang Chen and Gongsanling would definitely spread their names under the heavens as cultivation geniuses, and Puryang Palace would possibly shine in the future because of these 2 extraordinary talents. Zhanxian and Gongsanling had a difference of just a single step. Thanks to her graceful and elegant bearing, as long as she does not make any large blunder, maybe not long ago in the future the name of Gongsan Fairy would also be heard. As for Yang Chen, no one dared to judge anything. Actually, no one had thought highly of Yang Chen's potential, or rather they were just unsure to what extent Yang Chen's future will become better. As for the reason, Yang Chen's spirit root was very common, his will however was pretty firm, rarely seen in one's life. Everyone who had seen him ascend the heavenly stairs had already admitted to this point. However, a person with a firm will but common aptitude was still not equal to Zhanxian or Gongsanling's natural talent, whose wills were also pretty good. With regards to the cultivation world, people who were wholeheartedly cultivating but not having any advancements were many, like a river of garbage, but there were not many who could stick out. After all, cultivation was a thing dominated by talent. Zhanxian had recovered by quite a lot in the past few days, the wear and tear of his spirit power should be recovered within 1 month, according to his estimates. These past few days were also the proudest days for Zhanxian. In the past all of the other sects dispatched disciples would climb over 30, 40 or 50 steps of the heavenly stairs and afterwards brag in front of Zhanxian, but this time, at last it was his turn to stand out among his peers. But unfortunately, the other 9 Jidan experts were still getting healed. Their injuries were at least 10 times more serious than his, even having their cultivation fall down 1 level. Originally they were at Jidan 5th stage, but now they were at Jidan 4th stage. Although this was only a small difference of 1 realm, but this could not be recovered with just cultivating for 10 days or half a month. At the Jidan stage, it would take at least 5 to 10 years to be able to advance again. This was a huge loss, but it was too late for regret for these people. If they had known earlier, they would not have followed that guy from the Tianquan sect and make things difficult for Yang Chen. A disciple at the 2nd Kai layer, how could he threaten them? They immediately came up with attacks on Yang Chen's identity as an executioner, however they hadn't anticipated that for the other party, this was not a weak point at all, but on the contrary had helped Yang Chen succeed in climbing the heavenly stairs. If they had known about this earlier, maybe they would have just followed the routine. If they had stopped using this as his weak point after he had climbed the first few steps, maybe he wouldn't have been able to climb to the peak. However, regretting now had no use, they could only accept this fact. Suddenly falling down 1 level and even getting seriously injured, now, at least, they would not have to see Zhanxian show off, so he couldn't annoy them. Maybe this was a very small compensation by the heavens for them. Even if these Jidan experts who had ulterior motives didn't speak much, the same did not apply to other people. To step to the peak of the heavenly stairs, what great honor was this? How could a 2nd Kai layer disciple with mediocre talent achieve this? Moreover, before he had started with his cultivation, this guy was an executioner who killed people without consideration. So his hands were dyed red with blood. How could it be that Puryang Palace's Zhanxian just had his spirit power exhausted, while the other Jidan stage experts had a drop in level? There were plenty of people who were not convinced, so finally, when the experts of other sects arrived, they raised this objection. Even Zhanxian didn't know the reason, he was only sincerely controlling the spell formation, and the other 9 Jidan experts found it embarrassing to speak out about their thoughts. 9 Jidan experts trying to suppress a 2nd Kai layer disciple, declaring this would not suppress Yang Chen, but rather would add to his splendor. At Puryang Palace's Yang Chen, surely he is a fraud. When people raised these questions, immediately someone raised even bigger questions. Greatest Sky Sex Jidan Stage expert Cheng Wenkai, after listening to the words of his sex younger generation, immediately started talking as if he was giving a verdict. That guy must be killed. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 45. So let's repeat it. At any time, there was no lack of people who would envy or be jealous of other people's success. It was the same in the cultivation world. This Jidan expert of the greatest sky sect raised this opinion after he showed up in response to the questions by the crowd. Who would want a second-rate second Kai layer disciple to obtain the honor of setting foot on the peak of the heavenly stairs? Furthermore, among the 10 Jidan experts managing the spell formation, apart from Zhanxian of the Puryang Palace, the other 9 were all seriously injured and had fallen a level. It would be a miracle if this did not make people suspicious. Who practiced fraud? Cheng Wenkai, you dare accuse me of practicing fraud? Zhanxian was the hallmaster of the Foreign Affairs Hall. Although he was smooth and evasive in dealing with affairs, he was neither timid nor a coward, and once he heard that surprisingly, there was still someone who did not want to admit that Yang Chen was the first one to set foot on the peak of the heavenly stairs and wanted to put him to ground. How could he be polite? Oh. You yourself can go find 10 Jidan experts and ask your greatest sky sex disciple to reach the top and let me have a look whether they cheated or not. Although the heavenly stairs ceremony was not a significant affair, Zhanxian had managed it for many years, so he immediately got angry. Seizing this opportunity, the Jidan stage expert immediately denounced Cheng Wenkai's argument. Have you all gone mute? My Puryang Palace's disciples haven't cheated, are you all still unclear about it? Do you dare to swear on your heart's devil that my Puryang Palace's disciple has cheated? After ordering the clamor, Zhanxian at once directed his fury towards the other Jidan experts who were responsible for maintaining the spell formation together with him. These Jidan experts were very ashamed within their hearts, so naturally they did not dare to face Zhanxian's rage and, even more, could not dare to swear a big oath on their heart's devil. Facing Zhanxian's angry gaze, the 9 Jidan experts were so embarrassed that they were unable to say anything. Fellow Taoist Zhu and other fellow Taoists, if they would know of it, then what kind of fraud is it? Cheng Wenkai faintly smiled, immediately resolving the awkwardness of the other people, helping these guys who had already fallen a level, and also providing them an escape from swearing a big oath on their heart's devil. According to Cheng Wenkai's words, they could not know if Puryang Palace had committed fraud, therefore, in the end, they were unclear about whether Yang Chen had cheated or not. Zhanxian hadn't foreseen that Cheng Wenkai would speak in this way, and as soon as he opened his mouth, people began to suspect that Zhanxian had joined with Yang Chen to cheat. One cannot argue with 100 mouths. Even if they didn't have any evidence nor could they find the method, but if asked, they could directly deny by saying that they wouldn't know what kind of method he would have used. Indeed this time, Puryang Palace was really very strange with their choice of disciples. Gongsun Ling could still be considered as a normal 6 Kai layer talent. But Yang Chen was a trifling 2nd Kai layer cultivator who had just barely grasped the principle of making talisman papers, but he could still use a talisman tool to kill the 6 Kai layer Han giant of Tianquan sect. This itself was absolutely unimaginable. Moreover, to allow a 2nd Kai layer disciple to participate in the heavenly stairs assembly was very abnormal. Humph. Yang Chen of my Puryang Palace, before entering the sect had killed many, even his baleful aura is very heavy, he was naturally not afraid of any illusionary space. To climb to the peak of the heavenly stairs was not any alarming thing. Seeing how things went so far, Zhanxian had no choice but putting forward his own reasons. If this is regarded as cheating, I have nothing to say. Everyone looked at each other in dismay, who could have thought it was unexpectedly because of this reason. Most of those 9 Jidan experts almost spat out blood after hearing this. They had their long and exhausting conspiracy to aim towards his weak point to torture him, using his identity as an executioner, but the target just did not care about it. No wonder they were injured in the end. There was a thing about the illusionary spell, in case the spell was broken, then those responsible for managing the spell formation would surely be devoured in return. They used so much spirit power to plot against Yang Chen, so naturally the backlash would be difficult to deal with. Falling down one level, after all, was said and done, they had indeed attacked themselves. After seeing how everything had developed, these 9 Jidan experts were extremely regretful, especially those 8 Jidan experts who had followed after the Tianquan sex expert. They were so regretful that their intestines turned green. Towards a person on whom illusionary spells had no effect, they had smugly tried to attack him for a long time, but it instead ended up attacking themselves. Their insides were heavily injured and they had regressed one level. For what reason did they decide to do this? This is just your argument, fellow Taoist Zhu, that's all, your whole Puryang Palace cannot be trusted. Cheng Wenkai again faintly smiled. I will oversee it. If Pure Yang Palace was aware of any way to cheat the heavenly stairs, it would only be proper if everyone jointly attended to this, so that after the fraud is exposed, they cannot ridicule it as a baseless lie. Zheng Wenkai, aren't you determined to prove that my sect's disciple is a fraud? Zhanxian spoke this slowly and unhurriedly, while looking at Zheng Wenkai with hatred, not using the title of fellow Taoist to address him, and directly addressing him with his name. Pure Yang Palace is considered to be an upright sect, even if you have produced this kind of degenerate disciple, fellow Taoist Zhu should not shield him. Zheng Wenkai still had a smile on his face, but his words were fixated on killing Yang Chen, using them to force Zhanxian. These words, Zheng Wenkai, you still suspect that I was also involved in fraud, yes or no? Zhanxian asked Zheng Wenkai, throwing an angry look at him, while stubbornly trying to press down his anger. Whether you have cheated or not, fellow Taoist Zhu, you yourself should be clear about this within your heart. Zheng Wenkai gave an ambiguous answer with a smile. You? Zhanxian was extremely angry, yet he smiled, speechlessly pointing at Zheng Wenkai for a good moment, finally forcing his complexion to become normal, he said. Fine, I, Zhanxian, pledge on my heart's devil, if I had practiced fraud in the affair of Yang Chen reaching the peak of the heavenly stairs, then my soul shall be shattered by thunder, and I shall die without a proper burial site. After swearing the big oath on his heart's devil, Zhanxian looked at Zheng Wenkai and asked. Zheng Wenkai, what do you say now? What can I say now? Zheng Wenkai innocently said. Dare not, why bother swearing the big oath on your heart's devil? I have complete trust that fellow Taoist Zhu hasn't practiced fraud. But that, Yang Chen. How about making him also swear the oath on his heart's devil? Zheng Wenkai asked while sneering. He is a second Kai layer disciple, who knows whether he will be able to build his foundation or not, to swear the big oath on his heart's devil, for him this is still distant. Zheng Wenkai, however, did not want to let Yang Chen slip by. Maybe he has found some way to cheat, I have never before seen a person who doesn't fear illusionary spells. After all was said and done, he just wanted to prove that Yang Chen was a fraud. Fellow Taoist Zhu, you should not be crazy about it, if fellow Taoist Zhu does not make up his mind to clean the sect, I will have to do it in his place. This matter of cleaning up the sect, bring that up after a disciple of the greatest sky sect climbs up over the 50th step of the heavenly stairs, okay? Zhanxian answered sneeringly. Everyone who heard this clearly understood that so long as next time there was a disciple of greatest sky sect who would ascend past the 50th step of the heavenly stair, Zhanxian would immediately jump out to blame him a fraud. As for your claim, fellow Taoist Cheng, that my Pure Yang Palace's disciple Yang Chen cheated, then how about fellow Taoist Cheng gathers 10 Jidan stage experts and make Yang Chen climb up the heavenly stairs again? Zhanxian had confidence in Yang Chen, so he immediately raised a challenge and provokingly said. At that time, fellow Taoist Cheng would surely be sincerely convinced, right? To this condition, Zheng Wenkai neither agreed nor disagreed, however. The former only wanted to uncover Yang Chen's fraud and afterward compel the Pure Yang Palace to clean their sect. But at that time, Zhanxian had sworn an oath on his heart's devil that this was certainly not his own doing. Although the Pure Yang Palace was a second-rate sect, it would still not tolerate someone spouting nonsense to tarnish its reputation. If someone would question their people, they had to take out the evidence. If they had no evidence, then, even if it was the sect leader of Greatest Sky Sect, he still could not tarnish Pure Yang Palace as he wished. Perhaps if Greatest Sky Sect Master himself had personally appeared, then he would be able to ask for Yang Chen's life, but unfortunately, a minor Heavenly Stairs assembly and a second Kai layer disciple were not worthy for the Greatest Sky Sect leader to appear personally, and Zheng Wenkai wouldn't dare dream of such a situation. Just a mere Zheng Wenkai's position was not enough to make Pure Yang Palace, who also had several Yuan Ying experts to keep watch, yield. At present, he had only one option, and that was to uncover Yang Chen's fraud, otherwise, he would have to carry the label of a person who speaks without thinking. Apart from having to give an apology to the Pure Yang Palace, perhaps in the future his words, as a Jidan stage expert, would be considered as a joke by other people. If a Jidan expert could be bothered by a Kai layer outer disciple, who would still show respect to him? Zheng Wenkai somewhat repented when believing Li Qingchen's words, as he could not raise any evidence to determine that Yang Chen was a fraud. In addition, he also detested those 9 Jidan experts, whether he had cheated or not, they had to be well aware, yet they had taken a dubious stance and were making him decide whether he had done that or not. In this kind of situation, he could not stop halfway and could only force himself to go and gather the other 9 Jidan stage experts and once again start the Heavenly Stairs spell formation. Nevertheless, Zhanxian immediately found Yang Chen, who had just barely come down from the peak of the Heavenly Stairs and had directly gone to meet with Gongsun Ling to discuss what she had run across within the illusionary space. Hearing Zhu Chengxin's words, he immediately smiled. Isn't this a fine thing indeed? Yang Chen asked, feeling pleasantly surprised. He had not only climbed to the peak, but it also made his will firm and persistent, and in addition to that he had also directly broken through to the third Kai layer. Ascending the heavenly stairs once more, wouldn't this mean that his spirit power would rise immensely again? Maybe the will of the Zhantai stage would also fuse even more. If it were not for the supervision of numerous sects that one disciple of one sect could only climb once, Yang Chen would already have taken a few more rounds to the peak. At the moment, such a great opportunity had directly fallen into Yang Chen's lap, so Yang Chen was naturally exceptionally pleased. This time, Zhu Chengxin seemingly discovered something on Yang Chen's body, and feeling alarmed he asked. You surprisingly made a breakthrough. Immediately his complexion changed. On your body, there is the spirit power of all of the 5 phases. This way is not pure, isn't it, to invert the roots and branches? Gongsun had asked a similar question before. Merely, seeing that Yang Chen had made a breakthrough at that time, she didn't ask any more about this. But now seeing that Zhu Chengxin had asked the same question, Gongsun also said. Yang younger disciple, you should not take any wrong path. Regardless of how their expressions were, both of them were concerned for Yang Chen, he was naturally aware of that and didn't hide anything, and answered to Zhu Chengxin. Elder, this disciple merely wanted to know how the spirit power of other 5 phases is, that's all. Concentrate on cultivating your own fire-attributed spirit power. How could you even cultivate other spirit power? Zhu Chengxin appeared resentful towards Yang Chen for failing to meet his expectations. He was able to step onto the peak of the heavenly stairs with great difficulty. If such gifted person bit off more than he could chew and destroyed himself, it would really be unfortunate. Yang Chen did not use words to reply. He stretched both of his hands, one hand high and the other hand low, stretching in front of his body. Soon after, from the hand he had stretched upwards a red-colored liquid bubbled out and started falling like a waterfall onto the hand stretched out below. This waterfall had the form of a real waterfall, but compacted by 100 times. Muddy waves raged, rising upwards and then falling down, even many drops of liquid splashed, like a genuine waterfall. However, when Zhu Chengxin and Gongsun looked at it, it made them stand there, rooted to the ground, dumbstruck and flabbergasted. Within Yang Chen's hand was definitely water, but its color and temperature clearly showed that the waterfall they were looking at was completely made up of flame. Control fire as if it was water, this kind of trick with fire, made even Zhu Chengxin unable to believe it, let alone Gongsun. Both of their expressions were nearly identical with no difference, they weren't even able to speak half a word, their gaze attentively fixed on that waterfall in Yang Chen's hands, which was rolling over and over. Afterward, under their gaze the waterfall turned into an orange-colored desert with huge sand dunes, all of the small granules were moving because of the wind, empty and desolate, even the temperature gave them the feeling that it was a genuine desert. Soon after that, Yang Chen flipped over his hands, and the scenery disappeared without a trace, and in the ears of these 2 people, Yang Chen's voice echoed. Sorry, at the moment I am only able to achieve this, and for the time being couldn't imitate the metal and wood attributes. Since his spiritual awareness had greatly increased, Yang Chen was already able to imitate both the metal and wood attributes, but he concealed them under the guise of clumsiness. It was not that he believed that these 2 people would harm him, but rather because he did not want them to unexpectedly make people aware of his greatest secret. Looking at this scenery, controlling fire as water, controlling fire as earth, Zhu Chengxin, who was a knowledgeable person, naturally determined the level of Yang Chen's control over fire. Finally he gasped in admiration and began to praise him. No wonder Zhu Chentao boasted to me about you, your fire arts are unprecedented. I used to think he wanted to train the younger generation, unexpectedly, that guy was still being modest. As for Gongsun, she was looking at him with her beautiful eyes overflowing with praise, the expression of pleasant surprise on her face couldn't be concealed. When she looked at Yang Chen, it was as if another layer of depth had been added to his character. Now Yang Chen didn't need to say anything, both of them were aware of what Yang Chen wanted to achieve by cultivating the spirit power of attributes. Zhu Chengxin patted Yang Chen's shoulder and then encouraged him. Apparently you really will surpass us in future. Only bear in mind, only use the differently attributed spirit power for reference, don't throw yourself too deeply into it so as to not neglect the root and pursue the tip. Based on your fire controlling ability, as soon as you are able to build your foundation, below Yuaning, you will be the #1 person in controlling fire. Do your best. Many thanks Elder, for your encouragement. Yang Chen slightly bowed and thanked him. These were priceless advices, even if they were of no use to him, but these intentions demand appreciation. Yang Chen, do you have certainty that you can climb the heavenly stairs again? Zhu Chengxin wanted to confirm this again. If Yang Chen did not have confidence, it would certainly be difficult for him. No problem. Yang Chen nodded assuringly, this kind of charity, he was ready to accept it many times, however Yang Chen could not know the impossible, so he somewhat hesitatingly asked. However. However what? Zhanxian rushed the words and asked. Elder, heavenly stairs are in the end an illusionary spell, and if the illusionary spell is broken, the people responsible will certainly suffer from backlash. Yang Chen somewhat worriedly asked. If at that time the Jidan experts have some kind of issue again, this disciple is afraid he will have to bear the responsibility. The backslash of an illusionary spell is determined by its power. The more formidable the illusionary spell is, the more difficult its backlash would be to deal with. Yang Chen had to discuss this before he would start to climb the stairs. If he did not do it then, at that time he would be investigated again, which would make Yang Chen feel vexed. Ha 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 ha. Zhanxian was delighted at Yang Chen's words. Good, I will go and immediately ask them. If they get injured it is their own fault and they must not come and blame us. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 46 Setting foot on the peak again. Zhanxian had already sworn the oath on his heart's devil publicly, how could Cheng Wenkai give up halfway after pressuring Zhanxian? Thus, the affair of Yang Chen being made to climb the heavenly stairs once again to check whether he had cheated or not, began to spread with a large commotion. But no matter what was said, Cheng Wenkai of the greatest sky sect was jealous of the younger generation and he did not want any other sect to gain such a glory, if not, why hadn't the other people questioned Yang Chen's fraud and only he had raised that objection. Furthermore, he had not questioned those people who had climbed to the 30th step but absolutely insisted on Yang Chen, who had stepped on the peak. Regardless of whether Yang Chen had really committed fraud or not, Cheng Wenkai certainly wanted to examine him because of his jealousy. It was one of greatest sky sect's Jidan experts' words against the reputation of the entire Pyongyang palace, everyone was very clear about that. This time, Cheng Wenkai could not get cold feet. Merely, when Zhanxian discussed Yang Chen's words with him, Cheng Wenkai also began to hesitate when looking for 9 other fellow Taoists from other sects. Pyongyang Palace had demanded that Yang Chen should be allowed to climb up the heavenly stairs again, so surely they had a lot of confidence. That meant those Jidan experts who would be responsible for the spell formation would surely become worn out, for some of them this would mean getting devoured, for sure. Previously, Yang Chen had already made the 9 Jidan experts fall down a level. Every Jidan expert was a shrewd person, who among them would not know that in an illusionary spell, the more one exerted themselves the greater the backlash would be. At most Zhanxian hadn't gone all out, but he had already sworn on his heart's devil that he hadn't committed fraud. But for the other experts to have such an outcome, this forced these experts to think about this again, and 2 of the Jidan experts right there withdrew immediately. Under these sorts of circumstances, Cheng Wenkai had no other option but to look for 2 Jidan experts from the greatest sky sect. In addition to that, he had to promise all of them a lot of advantages as compensation, only then could the other people feel at ease, and they began the preparations to make Yang Chen climb the heavenly stairs again. Because Yang Chen had reached the peak of the heavenly stairs, leading to the 10 Jidan experts getting injured, the assembly had to be halted, and these newly appointed Jidan experts had to allow those disciples who were not able to go up before, climb the heavenly stairs, one by one. Both to complete this year's assembly and at the same time to allow these 10 Jidan experts get proficient in the heavenly stairs spell formation. This process had continued for 3 days and 3 nights, and only then did all of the disciples, who were originally expected to climb the heavenly stairs, finish. Following them, Yang Chen's turn to climb the heavenly stairs had come for the 2nd time. For insurance purposes, this time Cheng Wenkai even found a disciple with the same cultivation level as Yang Chen, the 2nd Kai layer, who would climb up before Yang Chen to check whether the heavenly stairs had some difference for lower layer disciples. Under everyone's attentive stares, that 2nd Kai layer disciple of the greatest sky sect stepped foot on the 1st step of the heavenly stairs and immediately his figure started shaking fiercely. He was barely able to set foot on the 2nd step when his figure disappeared in a flash and he was pushed out of the heavenly stairs. And this was when the Jidan experts in charge had just started the spell formation and hadn't even exerted any great influence. Soon after that, Yang Chen appeared at the bottom of heavenly stairs, waiting for Cheng Wenkai and the other 9 to properly prepare. The surroundings of the heavenly stairs were once again covered with people, and compared to the first time, there were at least 2 to 3 times more people, now also including all of those who had rushed over to witness this. When they truly controlled the heavenly stairs spell formation, these Jidan experts discovered that it was nearly impossible to cheat this illusionary spell. They could increase the difficulty of the heavenly stairs, but they could not allow a person to easily cross the barrier. Cheng Wenkai denouncing Yang Chen as a fraud was just ridiculous. However, the arrow had already left the bow and now they could not shrink back, most of all Cheng Wenkai. There was only one option left now, and that was to use any means available, whether fair or foul, and not allow Yang Chen to climb to the top. As long as Yang Chen was not able to climb to the peak this time, they would have an excuse, because why wouldn't he be able to do it again? If Yang Chen could climb to the peak once again, though, Cheng Wenkai would be considered as a fool within the Greatest Sky Sect. At the same time, the two Jedan experts from the Greatest Sky Sect would naturally support Cheng Wenkai. As for the other 7, Cheng Wenkai had already secretly promised to give them benefits if, when the time came, they would help to increase the Heavenly Stairs spell formation's difficulty. At that moment they had already stopped trying to examine whether Yang Chen had cheated or not, but rather were striving hard to save their face. As soon as Yang Chen stepped onto the first step of the Heavenly Stairs, the scenery in front of him changed completely and he found himself within a bewildering spell. A bewildering spell was different from an illusionary spell. It could make people move in circles and never be able to find the exit. The people who created the spell were all very superior Jidan experts. For them to use a bewildering spell on the first step was already giving great face to Yang Chen. Unfortunately, all of the 10 Jidan experts, including Cheng Wenkai, were making the same mistake as the last time, and that was to believe that they could restrict Yang Chen within the spell. Perhaps if he were replaced with other people, this bewildering spell would be enough to make them go crazy, but for Yang Chen, who had been a Great Principle Golden Immortal, even if this spell had been set by experts who had ascended to the spiritual world instead of mere Jidan experts, it would still be insufficient. With ease, Yang Chen didn't even stop temporarily and directly followed the correct path of the bewildering spell and came out. The following spell became a killing spell formation. There were some spell formations which the Jidan stage experts were able to arrange. As long as they could imagine it, they could lay any spell within the Heavenly Stairs to trap Yang Chen. As long as Yang Chen was unable to break the spell or got killed by the killing spell formation, there was only one consequence. That he would be pushed out of the Heavenly Stairs immediately. This was after all still arranged using the Heavenly Stairs spell formation as the foundation. However, since it was like this, Yang Chen would face it even more lightly. All of the spells arranged with the Heavenly Stairs illusionary spell as the foundation would still contain their innate character, however, it was also still an illusionary spell. This was a thing they were still unable to change. No matter what kind of spell they laid, it could not escape Yang Chen's watchful eyes. The most simple way for Yang Chen was that he could forcefully move away from the spell formation, regardless of the illusions, and if his speed was very quick, both parties involved would be most safe. However, Yang Chen certainly did not want Cheng Wenkai and the others to be able to withdraw so easily. Yang Chen used the most complicated method to break the spell, that was to use his own cultivation to forcefully break the spell. The 10 Jidan experts quickly discovered that, no matter what kind of formation they laid, Yang Chen would always use the most violent method to break the spell formation and rush out. They had arranged the killing spell with utmost care, but not to mention hurting Yang Chen, it was not even able to obstruct him. Fortunately, it was a spell that was prepared for only one person, and its destruction only caused a small fluctuation in their spirit power, not even affecting the Jidan experts in the least. For the spell formation, which was meticulously arranged by them to be broken this easily by someone else, just as if it was made out of clay, left these experts feeling angry. Only, regardless of the 10 Jidan experts taking out the works they were most proud of, they were still not able to stop Yang Chen in the least. Yang Chen was delighted at this moment. Cheng Wenkai and the others had arranged spell formations of all 5 phases to deal with him. No matter whether if it was a single attribute or double attribute, in fact, they even included the yin and yang of the phases. To Yang Chen, the 5 phases spell formation were like simply sending him a refreshing tonic. Under the coordinated work of the yin and yang 5 phases secret, no matter what kind of spell formation it was, he could easily break it. On the outside, maybe he could die because of lacking spirit power or injuries, but within the illusionary space, he would not have to worry about any kind of injury. Even after the Jidan experts had laid formations one after another several times, Yang Chen not only hadn't stopped, but rather had already reached the 30th step. Yang Chen could not be allowed to just beat their face so easily. Thinking this, Cheng Wenkai and all of the other experts finally began to act together. A spell formation laid by 10 Jidan experts would naturally be out of the ordinary, so Yang Chen's speed suddenly started to slow down. As soon as the pressure doubled, Yang Chen immediately sensed an abnormality as the formation laid by 10 people was finally put to full use and was not as weak as the individually assembled formations. He was no longer able to just rely on the yin and yang 5 phases secrets to resolve the situation. Under these kinds of circumstances, Yang Chen deployed another method, that was to use a spell to break a spell. Adopting the same strategy as the other party, Yang Chen also arranged his own spell formations to see which one could destroy the spell of the other first. Under the condition that the spell formations were evenly matched, Yang Chen would not feel his spirit power and spiritual awareness being suppressed, but on the contrary, would be relaxed by a lot. Within the illusionary space, for Yang Chen to lay a spell would only need some imagination, that's all. But when Yang Chen had just begun to arrange the formation to break the spell, one of the 10 Jidan experts immediately also tried to trap Yang Chen within the spell, both sides testing which side could break the spell formation arranged by the other first. Zhang Wenkai and the other 9 Jidan stage experts were doomed for tragedy. Although Yang Chen was not a spell formation expert in his previous life, for better or for worse, he was still a Principle Golden Immortal who had ascended to the spiritual world and then to the world of immortals, who had learned many difficult to deal with spell formations. Even if he were to randomly take out a spell formation, a mere Jidan stage expert would still find it incomprehensible. Let alone destroying it, they may not even see it. Yang Chen was different when he didn't need to face the combined pressure of the 10 Jidan experts, breaking a spell formation was as easy as lifting a finger. Often, when he walked away from within a broken spell formation, the other party would still be within his formation, at their wits' end. Shoo. After he broke the spell, Yang Chen immediately sensed a familiar spirit power entering his body. As the other party's jointly formed spell formation released the spirit power, the entire amount of it had entered into his body after he had broken the formation. At the place where the heavenly stairs was controlled from, that Jidan expert who had trapped Yang Chen in the spell formation involuntarily spat a mouthful of blood. Since the spell formation was forced, he immediately had to suffer from the backlash. The power of 10 Jidan experts was already sufficient to injure him. However, since Yang Chen was still incessantly moving upwards, the heavenly stairs spell formation could only continue, and as a result, a second Jidan expert entered Yang Chen's spell formation. Yang Chen once again broke the spell and absorbed the spirit power, as the second Jidan expert also spat blood and sustained injuries. The people standing on the outside, in the surroundings of the heavenly stairs, naturally could not look at what was happening at the center of the heavenly stairs, but Zheng Wenkai knew what was happening, and soon, all of the 10 Jidan experts had coughed up blood in quick succession, one by one, but they were not able to stop the heavenly stairs. So at last he tasted the pain suffered by the 9 Jidan experts from last time. At the moment, Yang Chen had only stepped on the 30th step of the heavenly stairs, and to the peak, there were still 70 more steps left. If someone could look at the center of the heavenly stairs, one would discover a very interesting phenomenon occurring. Every time when Yang Chen climbed and set foot on the next step, on the outside, at the same time, in the center, one expert would spit out one mouthful of blood. This was occurring again and again, extremely interesting. When Yang Chen had stepped onto the 60th step, the 10 Jidan experts had already spat 3 mouthfuls of blood each and sustained heavy injuries. They could only make do with magic potions, as they were unable to stop the spell. Once the heavenly stairs spell formations would start, it would only stop if the person within the spell were to withdraw or the spell was broken. The others would be unable to stop it, so the 10 experts were very painfully persisting, complaining endlessly within their hearts. From start to finish, Yang Chen had only used one kind of spell formation, 3 times for each expert, but not even one Jidan expert was able to make out even an inkling. What was most lamentable was that from the start till then, the 10 experts had already used 60 types of formations, yet none were able to trap Yang Chen. And Yang Chen had only used one queer spell formation, which had made these experts experience a disastrous defeat for 30 times. The 10 experts were thoroughly cursing at Yang Chen the entire time. Use magic weapons. Zheng Wenkai thought of something, and using his spiritual awareness passed it on to the other 9. At the same time, within his mind, he imagined a legend-grade magic weapon attacking Yang Chen within the spell formation. Seeing 10 different magic weapons flying in the sky, Yang Chen immediately understood Zheng Wenkai and the other 9 experts' intentions. However, Zheng Wenkai had only heard of such magic weapons, so even the imagined appearance was not close to the truth. If a common Kai layer disciple was bombarded with this magic weapon, he would immediately be pushed out of the heavenly stairs. Unfortunately, for them, when Yang Chen was in the heavenly court, he had seen genuine legend-grade magic weapons. Since it was only imagination, how could it compare to the magic weapon imagined by Yang Chen, which had the body and soul of a real legend-grade magic weapon? Without any trouble, with a wave of his hand a legend-grade magic weapon immediately rushed towards the magic weapons imagined by Zheng Wenkai and crushed them. Zheng Wenkai's spiritual awareness jolted and was only restored after a good moment. With just this light effort, Yang Chen had crushed the magic weapons of the 9 experts one by one and once again climbed the next 10 steps. The shock of spiritual awareness immediately made Zheng Wenkai realize his mistake. Imagined things were after all imagined things, so the real and imagined magic weapons were completely different. Once he realized that Yang Chen's magic weapon was even more difficult to deal with than his own imagined magic weapon, he immediately notified the other 9 experts, who had been using the magic weapons they had seen, to attack within the illusionary space. This time, what Cheng Wenkai gambled at was that he could control his own magic weapon with ease, and compared to that, the legend-grade magic weapon would be more difficult to deal with by at least 2 to 3-fold. Thanks to the illusionary spell, he was able to display the power of a Yuning expert to obstruct Yang Chen. Suddenly, the pressure doubled again. Yang Chen's feet stopped moving when facing the attack by 10 Jidan experts acting together with a magic weapon. Yang Chen had no option but to give his all. Suddenly, within the illusionary spell, the medicine garden's dome appeared. At that moment, Yang Chen's spiritual awareness was at the level of a peak foundation stage practitioner. As long as he made a breakthrough, it would reach the level of a Jidan stage, so even using the 7 steps enchanting deadly spell within the illusionary spell was not a big issue. Once the spell formation emerged, the 10 experts immediately sensed a turn of events. His body had moved just a moment ago, and 7 by 7, 49 raised flying swords immediately attacked like fiends and demons. Even Yuning stage experts could be taken care of with this powerful spell, so the 10 Jidan stage experts were directly dismembered. Naturally, this was all within the illusionary spell. Including Cheng Wenkai, all of the experts started spitting blood, mouthful after mouthful without stopping. At the same time as the magic weapon and their bodies were chopped to fragments, their spiritual awareness violently shook, causing them to become stunned, becoming unable to carry on already, and they directly lost consciousness. The Heavenly Stairs spell formation had suddenly lost the control of all of the 10 Jidan experts, but still it did not stop, rather it kept on drawing out spirit power from their bodies, in accordance with the requirements of the illusionary spell, and began attacking Yang Chen regularly. The remaining 20 steps, considered to be the authentic Heavenly Stairs finding heart path, were no trouble for Yang Chen. He very quickly reached the peak of the Heavenly Stairs again. Bang! The great clamor spread through the crowd again. Ascending to the peak 2 times, no one needed to say anything now, everyone possessed the ability to tell right from wrong. After witnessing this, the spectators, because of having seen the miracle of someone ascending to the top of the Heavenly Stairs, burst into cheers. Yang Chen halted at the peak again, as if he had gained another insight, but nobody was surprised at that. However, since the 10 experts responsible for the spell hadn't responded, immediately someone went to probe. The sight within the center made all of the experts from different sects who had hurried over open their mouths in shock. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 47 How Do You Want to Die? In the center of the Heavenly Stairs spell formation, instead of the figures of 10 Jidan experts, there were merely 10 old and gray-haired men, whose chests were all covered with blood, as if they had been in a slaughter chamber. All of these 10 people were unconscious and on the ground, their breath extremely feeble, as if they would stop breathing at any moment now. Everyone at the scene turned pale with fright upon seeing this, not daring to be neglectful, they hurriedly carried all of these Jidan experts and came out. After that, magic potions of every sect were stuffed into their mouths, and immediately someone began to put spirit power into their body to assist with dissolving the medicine at the same time so that they could replenish their bodily functions. Looking at the appearances of Cheng Wenkai and the other experts, it seemed that their cultivation realm had fallen by a lot. Those few cultivators at the back had already sensed that most of the meridians of the victims in front of them had already snapped, exhausting the spirit power in their bodies. Too much of their life essence had been extracted, and this had caused their bodies to age in this way. Even if they were cured, let alone Jidan stage, just to be able to preserve at the middle of the foundation stage, could already be considered as being blessed by their ancestors. After the great upheaval, finally the 10 Jidan experts were rescued at their last breath, only then did someone among them remember to seek responsibility from Yang Chen, who was sitting on the peak. All of the 10 Jidan experts became like this, but Yang Chen had escaped without taking any responsibility. Hello Taoists, what is the matter? Zhanxian stopped in front of the 10 Jidan experts, headed by Cheng Wenkai, and leisurely asked, using the tone which Cheng Wenkai had used when he had accused Yang Chen. Even if Zhanxian was no good, he was still a Jidan expert, and everyone who wanted to make a move on Yang Chen would have to cross the mountain named Zhanxian. However, Zhanxian, without giving them any chances, asked with Schadenfreude. Could it be that everyone wanted to violate the commandment of the Heavenly Stairs? All of the people present turned expressionless, and only after a good moment did everyone manage to respond. After the Heavenly Stairs spell formation had been discovered, there really was one such strange commandment. It was said that if someone violated it, the consequences would be grave. That one commandment was precisely that the people who were managing the Heavenly Stairs spell formation were absolutely not allowed to exploit the spell formation to attack the people on the Heavenly Stairs, otherwise, not only would it cause their spirit power to be devoured instead, but it was also very possible that their cultivation would fall down by a few realms and even their life force could be seriously damaged. The appearance of the 10 Jidan experts in front of them wasn't that the exact outcome stated in the commandment of dropping the cultivation and damaging the life force. Nobody should be blamed for this, even I, who had managed the Heavenly Stairs for more than 10 years, also only remembered just a moment ago that the Heavenly Stairs still had this kind of commandment. Zhanxian had only just a moment ago remembered this, and this made him immediately realize why the cultivation of the 9 Jidan experts who had sat with him had fallen. As it turned out, it was due to this. But the tone was such that Cheng Wenkai and the others wanted to weep but could not find any tears. On top of that, this commandment has not also been concealed from anyone, therefore nobody should neglect it. It seems that this is not my Pyongyang Palace's disciples' fraud, but rather a violation of the rules by the group of experts claiming to be Jidan stage elders, who were controlling the spell formation and acting together to take care of a second Kai layer disciple. Zhu Chengxin shook his head like a rattle. Clicking his tongue, he started speaking again. They should just grow up. At last the eyes of an old man like me have opened, I have seen shamelessness, but never this much. 10 Jidan experts, in addition to the previous 9 Jidan experts, a total of 19 experts, all joining hands to deal with my Pyongyang Palace's second Kai layer disciple, all of their sects, have indeed brought light to my humble dwelling. What a splendor. For a while Zhu Chengxin did not find any suitable words to say, so he had used this kind of expression to display his opinions. No one could blame Zhu Chengxin for mocking and ridiculing, because when Yang Chen had first climbed the Heavenly Stairs, Zhu Chengxin was also one of those who were managing the spell. He had just recovered and barely restored some spirit power. When Cheng Wenkai and others had already hurried over and begun to accuse Yang Chen of cheating. The other party at that time had precisely used this kind of intonation to ridicule, bullying Zhu Chengxin without having any evidence, forcing him to take the big oath on his heart's devil, and even forcing Yang Chen to climb the Heavenly Stairs again to prove his innocence. Now, after finding the truth about this affair at last, how could he not return those disgusting taunts to which he had been subjected to at that time? Cheng Wenkai and the others were so ashamed and resentful that they started to spit blood on the spot again. Although there was this commandment, but who would take it seriously? There had been 1 or 2 Jidan experts who had secretly used some methods to torment some disciples and force them out of the Heavenly Stairs, but these Jidan experts had remained unscathed. This kind of affair had happened many times, so who would still care about the commandment which had never been enforced? But when it was time for Yang Chen, this commandment had surprisingly turned out to be true twice in a row. The first group of 9 Jidan experts had merely fallen by a level and were seriously hurt, but they had still maintained the cultivation of the Jidan stage. But the second time, for the group of experts led by Cheng Wenkai, the losses were disastrous. Not only had they received serious injuries, but they also had their cultivation fall by an entire realm, descending to the foundation stage. Even their life force had been damaged by an unknown amount. Paying the price of 10 Jidan experts, just in order to make things difficult for a second Kai layer disciple, the words. The losses don't make up for the gains perfectly describe the situation. Apart from these immediate losses, the reputation of the sects of these Jidan experts would also suffer from serious damage. This was not an affair which could be smoothed out overnight. Even when these cultivators would return to their home sects, they would have to suffer from serious punishments. Of the 2 groups of Jidan experts who controlled the spell formation, only Zhu Chengxin strictly complied with the commandment and was thus able to escape with just an exhaustion of his spirit power, which needed only 3 to 5 days to recover. This time the losses of the greatest Sky sect were the largest. Even if it was a big sect, still, losing 3 Jidan experts in a single day was something it was not able to support. But right now, not only were the losses this big already, but they still had to make an apology. Not to mention that, at that time, Cheng Wenkai had also promised good benefits to the 7 other Jidan experts of the other sects, and he still had to honor his commitments one by one, and furthermore he even had to double the compensation. Once he thought of this point, Cheng Wenkai was unable to remain calm. His eyes rolled up into his head and he again lost consciousness. My Pyongyang Palace's disciple Yang Chen has climbed to the peak of the Heavenly Stairs for a second time. Zhu Chengxin, however, regardless of the recent accusations, directly asked all of the people present on the scene. If anyone still has doubts, I invite you to come out. Who among the cultivators would be so foolish? After this kind of situation had come to pass, who would be willing to offend Pyongyang Palace? Still wanting to taunt like that batch of sects headed by Greatest Sky Sect? Even if someone had thought about this within their head, they did not dare to say anything. Yang Chen had climbed to the peak 2 times, while receiving attacks both times. This was not at all the usual level of difficulty for the heavenly stairs. When this thought flashed through someone's mind, they immediately pushed it down. If he was able to climb to the peak under such circumstances, then wouldn't it be no problem at all under normal circumstances? Only after Zhanxian asked this 3 times and there was nobody who had any objections did he declare, with a proud voice, that Pure Yang Palace's disciple Yang Chen had climbed to the peak again, and once again nobody voiced any objections. Fellow Taoist Cheng, do you remember at that time when you had blamed my Pure Yang Palace's disciple of fraud? Fellow Taoist Cheng had judged that he should be killed. Zhanxian looked at Cheng Wenkai, who had managed to sober up again, and took a few steps towards him, one after another. My Pure Yang Palace's fraud disciple should be killed, but then, I wonder, how should a fraud Jidan expert of the greatest sky sect be treated? I think, the greatest sky sect should clean the sect. After he said those words, thoroughly venting his hate, Zhanxian, without paying any more attention to anyone else, disappeared and within a moment reappeared at the peak of the heavenly stairs, opposite of Yang Chen. The most dazzling person at this moment on the floating mountain was none other than Yang Chen. He was a second Kai layer disciple, but setting foot on the peak of the heavenly stairs was already a pioneering achievement which had never been accomplished since ancient times, but adding on to that, he by himself, facing against 19 Jidan experts. And this so-called outcome had already surpassed all of the others of its kind, before that and ever since. At this moment Yang Chen had already slowly opened his eyes. This time, by climbing to the peak he had not received a great amount of spirit power again, nor did he receive the spirit power of the 10 different attributes he had received last time. Which was already purified as if it were circulating within the heavenly stairs itself, and so this time was not in the least helpful towards his cultivation. The heavenly stairs were only effective for the first time. But the spirit power of the 10 Jidan experts still allowed the spirit power in Yang Chen's body to become even stronger and more solid to some degree, so this time had at least saved Yang Chen 1 month of hard work. He had already obtained enough benefits, and he has also got the chance to teach a lesson to people who had wanted to harm him, like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, so Yang Chen was very happy within his heart. Although he had achieved an overwhelming victory, he was also very frightened at every step, as facing against the thousands and millions of questions to his innermost being for most of the first time, if Yang Chen had hesitated even a little bit, it would have wasted all of his previous efforts and would have had his future prospects destroyed. That was a very ruthless attack, no less than a life and death battle. The second time was even more difficult, as he was faced with battles over victory and defeat at all times. Even the spectators such as Gongsun, when seeing Yang Chen in this situation, she had also broken out in cold sweat. The victorious person was Yang Chen, and the most victorious act was naturally Pure Yang Palace without any competitor. 2 disciples, one who had stepped onto the peak and other one had climbed to the 62nd step of the heavenly stairs. Whichever one you chose, both of them were talented disciples worth fighting over. This class of talent would only come out once in a century. The Pure Yang Palace should be grateful to their ancestors for these 2 talented disciples. Their flourishing luck made people drool with desire. The farce led by the greatest sky sect had finally come to an end. So far, this year's floating mountain assembly had been the most perfect one. Apart from the Pure Yang Palace, which had returned from a rewarding journey, those who had participated in the assembly were also not without any gains. The heavenly stairs, no matter how many steps one climbs, one would still have some benefits. Even those who were just watching had seen a marvelous show, which had satisfied their craving. When the news was sent back to Pure Yang Palace, it caused a sensation from top to bottom. For the last several hundred years, not even a single talented disciple had appeared in the Pure Yang Palace, but this year there were 2 geniuses within the outer disciples. How could this not make the palace master of the Pure Yang Palace elated? When the palace master thought about Yang Chen researching the Shunkai pill, which would increase the amount of outer disciples and cut down the time to become an outer disciple, the palace master shouted in rejoice. At the time when Yang Chen was entering the sect, because of his identity of an executioner, he had faced difficulty from some people within the sect. Thinking about this even now it still gave the palace master a chill. If at that time Yang Chen had been repelled from outside the door, then where would Pure Yang Palace's current glory be? How could he desire the hope to revive the sect again? Reward. A great reward. The palace master was extremely happy within his heart, and as soon as Yang Chen had returned to the Nine Earth Manor, he had already made a promise to reward him. Gongsun and Yang Chen, when they are at the peak of the Kai layer, they will receive as many foundation stage pills as they need until they are at the foundation stage. In addition to that, as long as they successfully build their foundation, they will immediately receive magic weapon flying swords in accordance with their respective attributes, and within the Myking Mountain, they may construct their immortal cave anywhere. After promising these benefits, the palace master suddenly realized that these were all just benefits which could be given in future, but not now. For a moment, he deeply pondered about things which could give them immediate assistance, and after thinking about it for a good moment, he added. Ling will receive 2,000 contribution points, and Yang Chen will receive 3,000. In addition to that, in the future within the Nine Earth Manor, the hidden pavilion will be open to them free of cost, and if they have any questions, they should be guided with great care. The rewards had been recorded one by one, but just as those two had turned around, the palace master stated, as if he recalled something. This year at the Outer Disciples Sect's Great Martial Arts Contest, I will personally come to look how outstanding these two are. In any case, Yang Chen and Ling were still mere outer disciples, still unworthy of the palace master to personally carry out the reward. However, this was already an unprecedented reward, most of all the foundation stage pills. Receiving as many as they wanted, this had already ensured that they would successfully reach the foundation stage. Pyongyang Palace was filled with joy from top to bottom, only Chu Heng and Sun Haijing were upset within their hearts. Most of all Sun Haijing, because Yang Chen had indeed invited him to a life and death duel. Others may not dare to accept it, but Yang Chen killing Han Giant at the 6th Kai layer under so many eyes had already been established as a fact, and he currently was only at the 4th Kai layer, so basically it was only a matter of time until he would have to walk the road of death. Master, save me. The more Sun Haijing thought, the more frightened he became. Bang. He kneeled in front of Chu Heng. At the moment the only chance he had was that Chu Heng would take care of it, else he did not have any way out. He did not have the confidence to betray the Pyongyang Palace, but he also did not have the confidence to face Yang Chen. In the last half year, you have received another first-rate talisman tool, but you are still not his opponent. Finally at this moment, Chu Heng and Sun Haijing were like a grasshopper on a rope, killing him to silence him was very troublesome, so to calm down Sun Haijing he said. Only, if. Chu Heng's hesitation however gave Sun Haijing a hope to live, so he hastily kowtowed and asked. Please save me, master. Okay. The Sun Haijing he offered the choice that within half a year he would certainly die if he could not reach the peak of the Kai layer realm, although if he used a secret method, he could reach the peak of Kai realm, but then it would take him between 200 to 300 years to reach the foundation stage. Between these two choices, Sun Haijing did not even need to consider which option he would to pick. If you choose this, then within the hidden pavilion read the jade slip in the final row of the 4th layer cultivation methods. Chu Heng said in a single breath, providing directions to Sun Haijing. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 48 What Ate Big Mouth? The floating mountain assembly had already been extended for 5 more days due to the events with Yang Chen. On the final day, Yang Chen and Ling arrived at the market of the floating mountain together. The floating assembly was a once-in-a-year event, so the market also opened only once a year and would immediately fall apart after the assembly was successfully completed. If they are not able to find any good things now, they could only wait for it to open again next year. When the two people appeared in the street, the people in the surroundings looked at them with admiration in their gazes. This year's number 1 and number 2 people in the heavenly stairs, their future prospects couldn't be measured, so naturally, if anyone managed to form a bond with them, it would sow good karma. Yang Chen was accompanying Ling, who had wanted to look for some materials for an unusual spell formation, and she was also aware that Yang Chen had learned everything in the hidden pavilion, so she had pulled him with her to get advice. On the whole journey, there were various sorts of talisman papers, talismans, talisman tools and talisman gems, all of these were extremely suitable for the Kai layer disciples of all sects. Originally the floating mountain assembly was started mainly for Kai layer disciples, so as a result most of the items here were aimed at Kai layer disciples. Naturally there were bound to be varieties of raw materials here, however most of them were low-leveled, and there were also Pyongyang fruits that could be used to refine foundation stage pills, but they were very rare, and all of them were marked with very high prices, which intimidated people at the first sight. However, the higher the number of booths, the higher the number of 9th Kai layer or even peak Kai layer cultivators haggling over the prices. However for these, Yang Chen and Ling were not interested in the least, as nearly all these materials were of no use to them. After walking a few steps, they finally came across a booth where the raw materials for spell formations were being sold. Yang Chen swept his eyes over the former and unexpectedly even found 2 items of decent quality. It seemed that the seller did not care about them a lot, so the price was not so high, thus Yang Chen silently nudged Ling with his hand and silently pointed to it. Somehow, Ling had absolute confidence in Yang Chen's gaze, perhaps it was because of the repeated warnings he had given her before she began to climb the heavenly stairs. At that moment she didn't bat an eyelid, but rather moved to the seller and began to point out some cheap raw materials and started haggling over the prices. Yang Chen approved within his heart, encountering top-notch items but still not losing her calm and using good negotiation skills. He and Gongsun were now very famous, perhaps those sellers will open their mouths wide like lions, but like this Gongsun would also decrease the damage a little bit. While waiting for the process to be over, Yang Chen examined all of the sellers nearby. When he had just finished examining a seller and was moving to the next one, suddenly something on the booth caught Yang Chen's attention. It was indeed a blue-green fruit with the size of a clenched fist and the shape resembling a pomegranate. Although it was still blue-green, it had already matured. Yang Chen was aware that under the wrapping of this blue-green colored peel, there was a seed. The whole fruit was so bright that it was dazzling to one's eyes. Only one glance was enough to force people's attention to this fruit. Under pomegranate. Yang Chen's whole body was rooted to the ground. He really hadn't anticipated that at this temporary market on the floating mountain, he would be able to see this kind of a great thing. Under pomegranate was absolutely a great item. This kind of pomegranate would absorb lightning to mature, but it could only absorb lightning to mature, so in ordinary areas it could not survive. A matured fruit could be used to refine a kind of thunder-absorbing sphere. This kind of sphere, when possessed by someone, was able to absorb all of the thunder and lightning in the surroundings of the user's body on its own accord. An ordinary thunder pomegranate could only absorb very little, but a thunder-absorbing sphere refined from a thunder pomegranate, matured to a given year, could even assist cultivators by absorbing the lightning calamity from the lightning cloud. Although it could not absorb it completely, it could still absorb a majority, which could allow the cultivator to pass the tribulation very easily. When a Zhanxian expert wants to become a Wielding stage expert, apart from comprehending the laws of the world, he would also have to face the first of the three tribulations. With the assistance of a thunder pomegranate, it would become extremely easy. But unfortunately, a matured thunder pomegranate could only be obtained by chance and not by looking for it. This was an extremely scarce item which countless cultivators would fight for. Yang Chen's shout gave rise to Gongsun interest. She turned her body and looked towards the side where Yang Chen was looking and very quickly discovered the thunder pomegranate. After inspecting it for a few seconds, she could not help but crease her brows. Younger disciple, this is a thunder pomegranate that had already matured long ago. It has no medicinal efficacy. Gongsun feared that Yang Chen couldn't see the problem within and hastily reminded him. Although it is a large fruit, the only thing inside is seeds. This is only a seed fruit, which is produced by pomegranate trees every year, but only one fruit of all of the fruits is a seed fruit. You should not be fooled. Yang Chen naturally nodded, accepting Gongsun good intentions. He naturally wanted to obtain the seed of this thunder pomegranate, but he didn't have any extravagant hope that it would be a mature thunder pomegranate. To others it was just a seed fruit, but to him it was a very rare opportunity. In his previous life, 2,000 years from now, an exceptional genius had discovered a method to grow the thunder pomegranate. Afterwards, mature thunder pomegranates did not remain such unusually precious and uncommon objects. Although that method had been a secret, after he had ascended to the world of immortals, Yang Chen had the opportunity to obtain this kind of method. This fruit could allow him to test that method. Many thanks, senior sister, for your warning. Yang Chen said, still advancing towards the seller. He asked. This thunder pomegranate, how many spirit stones does it cost? Originally, when the seller had seen Yang Chen's interest in the thunder pomegranate, he had thought of making a large profit, but Gongsun warning had dashed all of his hopes. However, he also could not blame Gongsun. These guys were senior and junior apprentice disciples, so her warning him was must. Seeing Yang Chen approaching to ask him, the seller speculating on the price within his mind and asked with a smile. Hello Taoist Yang, since you desire it, I also will not ask much. How about 100 jin worth of spirit stones? The thunder pomegranate seeds, although they would be available every year, they were still not easily obtained. Even the seller had only obtained it incidentally and hadn't spent anything. So when Yang Chen asked for the value, he didn't open his mouth like a lion, but rather directly told him an honest price. Hiss. On the side, Gongsun took a deep breath. Calmly thinking within her heart, these 100 jin worth of spirit stones were not that expensive. Even if they used just one contribution point in exchange, they would directly get 1,000 jin. But Gongsun did not have 100 spirit stones with her at the time. She was just about to step forward and haggle over the price when Yang Chen imposingly said. Good, let's complete the deal. Once he opened his mouth, the seller was exalted, while Gongsun jumped with astonishment and blurted out. From where did you come up with 100 jin worth of spirit stones? After killing that many people, I have gathered it. After Yang Chen carelessly said that, Gongsun immediately realized that this was from those assassins whom Yang Chen had killed. However, she still asked with curiosity. Why have you bought this thunder pomegranate seed? Senior apprentice sister, if I were to tell you that I want to check a method to grow these thunder pomegranates, would you or would you not believe me, senior sister? Yang Chen smilingly asked. I trust you. Which made Yang Chen flabbergasted as Gongsun Ling nodded without the slightest hesitation. Ha 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 ha. Gongsun Ling's words had barely left her mouth when immediately from the surroundings a wild laugh appeared, including even the seller with whom the recent deal was completed. Everyone issued a similar laughter. Hello Taoist Yang, this is your thunder pomegranate seed. After he finished laughing, the seller realized that this was still inappropriate as the business had not even finished yet. How could he jeer at the customer? He hastily squeezed the thunder pomegranate into Yang Chen's hands and afterwards waited expectantly for Yang Chen to hand over the spirit stones. Yang Chen also didn't go back on the promise and from the Qianqin pouch, he put forth a piece of spirit stone. After both sides were done with the transaction, this thunder pomegranate was now the property of Yang Chen. After climbing to the peak of the heavenly stairs, Pure Yang Palace's Yang Chen and Gongsun Ling were already the target for thorough scrutiny. Every word and every action of theirs was being attentively observed by an unknown number of people. The recent dialogue between Gongsun Ling and Yang Chen had also reached the ears of all the people present in the surroundings. Talking about overestimating one's abilities, no one had ever seen a guy like Yang Chen who had overestimated his abilities this much. A method to grow the thunder pomegranate, countless number of Yuning experts had researched this, but the end result of this was that each and every one of them failed. Even peak Yuning stage experts were included among these, they were barely a step away from reaching Dacheng stage, yet in front of this problem, they were still unable to do anything, not to mention Yang Chen, who was merely at the second Kai layer. Even if Yang Chen had been a foundation stage expert or a Jidan stage expert, if he had said these kinds of words, people would still have surely laughed at him. Quite a big mouth. Fellow Taoist Gongsun, fellow Taoist Yang, you have cultivated for a very short time and are still not aware of many affairs, only, fellow Taoist Gongsun you still shouldn't say things like this. Immediately someone, wanting to flaunt his seniority, began to pretend to speak heartfelt and meaningful words. Fellow Taoist Yang was just joking, still fellow Taoist Gong believed it so easily, really the feelings between disciples of the same sect are quite serious. These words gave rise to wild laughter again. If you had also set foot on the peak of the heavenly stairs and said these words, I would have believed you. Gongsun Ling's complexion sunk as she said this. Immediately, all the laughter became stuck within the throats of the people, some even had to cough because they were choking when trying to control it. Gongsun Ling's words seemingly made it difficult for the people to laugh at them. Everyone started pondering over it since Yang Chen was able to step on the peak of heavenly stairs, which had been impossible for many worthy talents in the past, then again who could guarantee that he could not find a method to grow the seed of the thunder pomegranate. However, the astonishment lasted only for a split second, very quickly the sound of laughter overshadowed everything again. Was there a scarcity of talents in this world? But certainly there was no one who could succeed in growing the thunder pomegranate. Admittedly Yang Chen climbing the peak of heavenly stairs was a feat which everyone admired, but this achievement had also incurred the jealousy of many people. Having this opportunity, it would be a miracle if everyone did not seize this opportunity and frantically tried to suppress him. Soon, Yang Chen's words were spread around the whole market, even passing into the ears of some Jidan experts. Immediately one of them commented without restraint. Humph, he surely can overestimate his own ability. The mouth of this minor, mad disciple is indeed not small. The one speaking was a Jidan expert from the greatest sky sect, only now he was at the middle of the foundation stage. He had recently woken up after healing and hearing the news, he couldn't help but open his mouth. This is also good. On the side Cheng Wenkai did not have a taunting look because of Yang Chen's words, rather he had spoken as if this news was pleasant to hear, which made the fellow Jidan experts very puzzled. You don't need to look at me like this. Cheng Wenkai sneered. Since he is fond of researching the method to grow the thunder pomegranate, then have this news spread, everyone will say that the Pure Yang Palace has already started boasting that their disciple Yang Chen can successfully research a method to grow the thunder pomegranate. All sects must be made aware of this, let's see how the Pure Yang Palace can dispute 100 mouths. Senior apprentice brother, what does this mean? On the side another younger Jidan expert who had fallen to the foundation stage asked. This Pure Yang Palace disciple who had stepped on the peak of the heavenly stairs, is he not a genius among geniuses? Cheng Wenkai again sneered. I just want to know, such an exceptional talent, researching something which even countless numbers of Yuning stage experts haven't been able to discover in 200 years. So after 200 years, how much more talented will he have become? The eyes of the two Jidan expert who had fallen an entire realm began to shine brightly when they heard Cheng Wenkai's words. They immediately began to gather the disciples of the greatest sky sect by secretly sending voice transmissions to them. The disciples were very confused when they came in, but the more they heard, the more they nodded, then ran out and began to arrange the matter at lightning speed. Even before Yang Chen and Gongsun Ling had finished purchasing the things Gongsun Ling needed, the rumor had already widely spread in the entire floating mountain. Even countless number of summoning talismans have already started flying out of the floating mountain. By the time when Zhanxian was informed and he could deny the rumor, it was already too late. Zhanxian immediately guessed the whole truth of the matter, 2 out disciples purchasing things, wanting to give it a try. Initially, these words were said as a joke, but they were deliberately exploited by someone who had made a solemn vow that this was Pure Yang Palace's arrangement. Because of becoming famous at the heavenly stairs, Yang Chen and Gongsun Ling had allegedly become arrogant, but in fact the Pure Yang Palace was supposedly already aware of such a method from an earlier time, but they kept the method secret. This and other kinds of rumors were spread. These rumors were reasonable and fair, forcing people to believe them. Reckless. The affair had already reached a stage where Zhanxian could find no way to deal with it anymore and could only rapidly inform the palace master to make the decisions. However, this affair had no effect on Yang Chen, who was leisurely accompanying Gongsun Ling to purchase the things she needed. Afterwards they walked all around the place, spending all of the spirit stones on their hands, purchasing a medicine garden space. Note. A spatial item. This medicine garden space was similar to the Yang Mountain medicine garden, only the difference in level between the two was too much. It had barely enough space to grow a single plant, that was all. However, even if it was like this, it was still an item of the magic weapon grade. However, the seller seemingly wanted to help Yang Chen intentionally. Even when the spirit stones on him were not sufficient, he still accepted all of the spirit stones which Yang Chen had and gave the medicinal garden space to Yang Chen. The fact that Yang Chen had purchased a medicinal space, all of this, was already entirely confirmed. Even if the Pure Yang Palace wanted to refute, it still should have sufficient reasons for that. Why would a minor second Kai layer disciple have several hundred jins worth of spirit stones on his body? If this was not the sect supporting him, then what was it? Certainly, Yang Chen had bought this medicine garden space as a cover-up, otherwise he would not have any proper explanation of what he was doing inside the Yang Mountain medicine garden. During the stroll through the market, Yang Chen and Gongsun Ling weren't very careful and attentive. When they returned to the Thousand Autumn Pavilion, they saw Zhanxian with a worried expression on his face. Both of you have performed exceptionally at the heavenly stairs, but now you are the target of intense scrutiny. Each of your words and actions should be carefully measured. If you keep on speaking casually, it could be used against you by someone. After Zhanxian had informed Yang Chen and Gongsun Ling of the current affair, he could not help but shake his head. As for how it should be handled, as soon as we return to the Pure Yang Palace, it is for the palace master to make the decision. Yes. Both of them bowed in response. Ah. Zhanxian again sighed with a deep breath. Yang Chen, especially you, in the future you must always be careful. This time after we return, as punishment you will have to enter closed-door training for 3 months and will single-mindedly concentrate and only come out for the sect's martial arts contest. This time's affair, I will make a report to the palace master. For now, our Pure Yang Palace will have to keep our shoulders down. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 49. Why should I hand it over? The reason why Yang Chen had decided to enter Pure Yang Palace after his rebirth again, apart from his master, was precisely Pure Yang Palace's willingness to defend its disciples. In the previous life, when Yang Chen had met with an accident, 4 Yuning experts of the greatest sky sect had dropped in to fight with him, but Pure Yang Palace, aside from the Luminous Moon Hall, the branch which had broken away with the help of the greatest sky sect, the whole Pure Yang Palace sect had been exterminated just to save a falsely accused disciple. At the moment it was the same with this affair. Zhanxian had clearly realized the merits and demerits and afterwards had immediately said for Yang Chen's benefit that in this matter, the Pure Yang Palace will bow down. Even if he had punished him to enter seclusion because of this matter, that could still be considered a method to defend him. This sentence made Yang Chen suddenly feel a warm sensation within his heart. After being extremely moved, Yang Chen did not forget to ask Zhanxian. Uncle Master, who started this rumor? It was some loose cultivators who have already left the floating mountains. We are not aware of where have they gone. Zhanxian knew why Yang Chen had wanted to ask this. Shaking his head he said. No matter who it is that wants to deal with you, he will not let anyone catch any information about himself. You have stepped on the peak of heavenly stairs, which has offended many people and even made 19 Jidan experts sustain injuries. There are a great number of people who will have hostility towards you. But you need not worry. After we return, just be well behaved and enter into closed-door training. This affair, the sect will settle it for you. Yes, Uncle Master. Yang Chen was also aware that it was impossible to have any readily available information, even when the foundation stage disciple Chu Heng had tried to deal with him, he could get no evidence against him, let alone against the number of Jedan experts and sects whom he had offended. For the time being, this matter remained a rumor as before, which did not require Yang Chen to take any unusual steps to deal with it. Because of this affair, Zhanxian had to personally lead Yang Chen and Gongsunling back to the Puryang Palace. After all, they were two talented disciples. If they ran into some mishap while on the return journey from the floating mountain, that certainly will be a great and sorrowful joke. Gongsunling had broken through the 6-Ki layer, so she could certainly fly by herself, relying on her own power, but her speed would be very slow, and Yang Chen did not have the ability to fly at all. This would make the return journey very slow. In addition to that, there were a lot of variables in the journey. But Jedan experts were Jedan experts, so Zhanxian enveloped both of them in a transparent light and within a flash appeared more than 50 kilometers away. This flying magic weapon was something which Zhanxian was proud of. Seeing the rays of envy flash through Gongsunling's eyes, Zhanxian smilingly encouraged her. Don't be anxious, just based on both of your innate skills, just wait until you reach the foundation stage and you will be able to refine an even better magic weapon than this. Gongsunling nodded, but Yang Chen didn't express anything. With regards to this, he already possessed quite a few magic weapons which he could not use. The difference when compared to Zhanxian's magic weapon was not big, so he basically didn't feel anything within his heart. The whole journey was fast as lightning. To cover this route Yang Chen had hurried, but even so, it still took him 6 months to cover, but it did not take Zhanxian even a single day to bring them back. This time Zhanxian did not return to Nine Earth Manor, but rather directly led these two to the Puryang Palace. Together with their return, with them also arrived the summoning notices from several regions, and also few inquiries by nearby sects. The tone of those notices was hinting on blaming the Puryang Palace for hiding this information. The person responsible for handling these affairs, apart from Zhanxian, was another acquaintance of Yang Chen, Medicine Hall's Hallmaster Zhu Chentao, as well as this month's Luminous Moon Hall's Hallmaster, Chu Heng's master, Liang Xiaoming, who was also a Jedan expert. The person who had been trying to force Yang Chen into meeting with an accident, Chu Heng, was surprisingly also present therein. Naturally there was bound to be a law enforcement hall's disciple. He was Du Qian, who was Yang Chen's acquaintance. Du Qian was the one who had recommended that Yang Chen should participate in the floating mountain assembly, just to see how many steps of the heavenly stairs he could climb, but that it indeed led to an outcome which stunned people. With regards to the person recommended by Du Qian, it was not known whether or not he had any achievements or not. However, since Du Qian had recommended the person, and he was also a disciple of the law enforcement hall, who was also the one handling Yang Chen's matter this time, naturally he also needed to be present. Chu Heng however was only allowed because he had been the merit transferring disciple for the past few years, so if any outer disciple had an accident, naturally he was required to be notified. Looking at the angry scowl spread across Chu Heng's whole face, anyone could guess that he was in a very bad mood. Yang Chen, you are clearly at fault. At the moment he saw Yang Chen, without waiting for the Jedan experts to open their mouths, Chu Heng immediately shouted in a loud voice. Chu Heng's expressions were as if he was eager to ask for Yang Chen to be immediately punished, but Yang Chen just cast a sidelong glance at Chu Heng, and without paying him any more attention, he advanced forward and, together with Gongsunling, bowed towards all of the Jedan experts, performing the proper courtesy. Paying respects to the elder generation, even Chu Heng did not dare to say anything. He did not want these Jedan experts to think that replying to his question was more important than paying respects to them. Chu Heng was met with a cold shoulder and stood on the side, waiting for Yang Chen and Gongsunling to finish the ceremony successively. Only then did they turn to Chu Heng's side and paid him respect as Uncle Master. In the presence of the elders, Chu Heng could only acknowledge the greetings according to rules, and only then he opened his mouth again to ask. Yang Chen, you surely are at fault. However, this time his loftiness was not as great as it was previously, only his voice was loud, that's all. I don't know where I'm supposed to be at fault. Compared to Chu Heng, Yang Chen was certainly a lot calmer, directly shaking his head. You still dare to quibble. Chu Heng became angry, but in front of these Jedan experts, he could not dare to be excessively impudent, but these people hadn't said anything, as if they already had a mutual understanding, as if tacitly accepting this sort of behavior of his, so Chu Heng also enlarged his voice and immediately began to rebuke him. I really don't know. An innocent expression was on Yang Chen's face. Looking at Chu Heng he slowly stated. I request Uncle Master Chu to provide me with some guidance. The big words you said at the floating mountain assembly have already spread widely to each and every sect. Chu Heng glared at Yang Chen when he slowly and clearly said. Currently all of the big sects have already notified my Pure Yang Palace, blaming us of hiding from fellow cultivators. After losing so much of my Pure Yang Palace's face, how can you still dare to say you do not know your wrongs? What has my Pure Yang Palace concealed from these fellow cultivators, which has led to such a great loss in our reputation? Yang Chen laughed instead, looking at Chu Heng's gaze and clearly ridiculing him a little bit. Humph, you don't even dare to acknowledge it. I ask you, the method to grow the thunder pomegranate, are you not the one who had bragged about it? Chu Heng asked while sneering, his expression was as if Yang Chen had already pleaded guilty. Right now, all of the cultivators are pressuring the palace master, requesting the palace master to hand over the method to grow it. If it were not for these big words of yours, how would such a thing happen? I only said that I wanted to try to find a method to grow the thunder pomegranate, senior sister Zhanxian here can be my witness. Without changing the smiling expression on his face he continued. Other things have no relation to me. Precisely because of this, the other sects are thinking that it is certain that my Pure Yang Palace is helping to increase your reputation and surely must be withholding the information about the method to grow the thunder pomegranate and that's why they are exerting pressure on my Pure Yang Palace. Chu Heng coldly snorted and asked. You are a trifling Kai layer disciple, how can you make such a big commitment? Uncle Master Chu. Suddenly Yang Chen addressed Chu Heng very seriously. Is there a rule in the sect that outer disciples cannot research a method for growing the thunder pomegranate? Or is there any such clause in the cultivation world stating that any sect's outer disciple cannot research the method to grow a thunder pomegranate? Yang Chen's question had made Chu Heng speechless, naturally there was no such rule within the sect or in the cultivation world, it was only that it was expected by everyone that people with a lower cultivation would surely not be able to do it, that was all. Yang Chen had said that he wanted to do it, but what he said was not wrong at all. However, Chu Heng quickly adjusted to the situation and asked in a loud voice. This news has already spread widely in all of the sects that within 200 years you would be able to research the way to grow the thunder pomegranate, how should the sect deliver on it? Didn't they say I have 200 years? Yang Chen suddenly laughed and looking at Chu Heng he said. If they want to pick a quarrel, they can come again after 200 years, currently the sect should not bother with them. Hearing Yang Chen's sloppy answer, Du Qian, who was sitting behind him, burst into laughter. Yang Chen's reply was simply too roguish. Du Qian's laughter made Chu Heng bubble up with anger. If they come after 200 years and you, younger disciple, still haven't researched the method, then how will we deliver it? If the research wasn't successful, then it wasn't successful, countless numbers of Yuaning and defying stage experts have also tried, but were not successful. I am a mere Kai layer disciple who wasn't successful so, again, we will not lose face. Yang Chen again shook his head, unable to control his laugh. Could it be that if the research isn't successful, it would be an enormous crime which can't be punished even by beheading? However, I do remember that there is a Yuaning expert of the greatest sky sect as well as a defying expert of Green Jade Immortal Islands who are still kicking and are also researching the method to grow the thunder pomegranate. As for beheading, first behead these two seniors, then I will accept your punishment. Those Jedan experts sitting behind him, although they hadn't opened their mouths to say anything, they also hadn't missed a word in Chu Heng and Yang Chen's conversation. Apparently Yang Chen's response had allowed everyone to think of a solution to resolve the situation, only they were refusing to acknowledge it. However, Yang Chen had already said that there were many great experts whose research hadn't been successful, so if he, a trifling Kai layer disciple, wasn't that effective, it would also not lose any face. Who would dare to say that Yang Chen would lose face, as that would mean unconditionally offending this large number of Yuaning and defying stage experts? Indeed. Suddenly Chu Heng found himself at a loss for words. It was clearly a very good opportunity to get Yang Chen severely punished, but right then, according to Yang Chen, it was not a perilous situation at all, so how could he not lose hope? Only, without waiting for Chu Heng to finish with his words, Yang Chen immediately began to question him intensely. Moreover, Uncle Master Chu, why should my Pure Yang Palace hand it over? Hand it over to whom? What do we owe to them? After saying these words, Yang Chen's voice became even colder. Why is Uncle Master Chu not supporting my Pure Yang Palace, but rather the other cultivation sects, or for what reason are you doing this? After saying all of this in a single breath, Yang Chen did not wait for anyone to interrupt him and continued to speak. Does my Pure Yang Palace owe anything to other people? Or is it that my Pure Yang Palace, when compared to other sects, has to lower its head? If not, why must we hand anything over? Simply saying, even if my research is successful, I am a disciple of Pure Yang Palace who works for the sect, neither have I killed anybody's parents, nor have I wiped out people's sect, it is my own research, so for what reason must I hand it over to others? Uncle Master Chu, why don't you tell me the reasons for doing so? Yang Chen's words already made the complexions of these Jedan experts turn solemn. especially those last words catered even more to the worry in everyone's minds. Our Pure Yang Palace does not owe anything to others, nor it is a head shorter when compared to other sects. Our own research, why should we hand it over to others? This. Zhu Heng was at loss for words again when facing Yang Chen's repeated questions, and for a short while he did not know how to reply. Luckily he was quite quick with his thoughts, and he immediately thought of a pompous reason, so after hesitating for a moment, he quickly replied. The method to grow the thunder pomegranate concerns the tribulations of Zhedan experts. This is a matter which would benefit all cultivators, so when the time comes, all cultivation sects would use this reason to suppress us, then how should my Pure Yang Palace deal with this? So, if the research is successful, why must our Pure Yang Palace still make it public? A smile spread on Yang Chen's face again, but any person with eyes could see the anger hidden within the smile. I remember that the greatest sky sect had a type of wielding pill prescription which was very precious and was refined only for the sect's people. It could assist Zhedan experts in producing their yin. This would have equally benefited the other cultivation sects, but why don't I see Uncle Master Chu advising the greatest sky sect, but on the contrary, you want to sell our sect's benefits? Uncle Master Chu, what kind of profit have you received from other people that you surprisingly want to betray the sect and cheat your master? You venomous slanderer. Zhu Heng was already unable to answer Yang Chen's questions and could only shout. You pointing at him before he could speak out a complete sentence. Betraying the sect and cheating the master was an absolutely unpardonable accusation. Zhu Heng was very arrogant, but still he did not dare to admit to this crime. However, Yang Chen did not want to let Zhu Heng slip by, so, advancing to one step before Zhu Heng's finger, he continued to question. Uncle Master Chu, our Pure Yang Palace, also has many cultivation methods which would also benefit fellow cultivators of other sects. Don't you think they should also be made public? I am not aware who the fellow cultivators which Uncle Master Chu is talking about are, but Uncle Master might as well tell us who they are. We, in front of all the people under the heavens, should ask him whether or not we, the Pure Yang Palace, must handle these matters in such a way. Yang Chen advanced one step, but Zhu Heng, as if forced by Yang Chen, took a step back. Yang Chen again took a step forward, and Zhu Heng again took a step back, as if not daring to confront Yang Chen. As for Yang Chen's questions, Zhu Heng was still not able to reply, so apart from withdrawing, it seemed like there was no other alternative for him. However, after he took 2 steps, Zhu Heng's back lightly pushed against someone, and from behind his body came Du Qian's voice. Hello disciple Chu, reply to the question, there is no need for you to retreat or withdraw. The schadenfreude within his voice was hardly concealed. Zhu Heng's body turned stiff and was forced to stop at that position. Yang Chen also no longer closed in step by step and stopped at the same place, smiling faintly and saying. Fortunately all of this was merely spoken within our Pure Yang Palace. If it would spread to the outside that Uncle Master Chu has cheated the master and betrayed the sect, this would only bring shame to our Pure Yang Palace and would cause a great damage to our reputation. If it were not for the several Zhedan present there, Zhu Heng would have even killed Yang Chen before he spoke his thoughts. But now he could only stand there, rooted to the ground in this dilemma, unable to say anything. At this moment, Luminous Moon Hall's Hallmaster Liang Xiaoming, who hadn't said anything until now, coughed and said. This was just a rumor, there is no need to make such a fuss about it. Zhu Heng, you still need to temper this sort of nature of yours. After this year's sex martial art competition, you will go out to train yourself. Yang Chen, you, in accordance with Hallmaster Zhu's punishment, will enter closed-door training. Once he opened his mouth, this affair was concluded and nobody had any objections. After he finished handing out punishments, Liang Xiaoming started speaking about another matter. Ongsenling, Yang Chen, in this year's Floating Mountain Assembly, you both have increased the glory of our sect, so the Palace Master has decided to reward you. You must guard against pride and impatience and put great effort in your cultivation and must not fail to meet the expectations of the entire Pure Yang Palace. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 50 Heavenly Stars Treasure Refining Secrets. Strictly speaking, Liang Mengshao's punishment could be considered fair, since he hadn't raised any accusation against Yang Chen, nor raised his punishment, as the punishment for closed-door training was decided by Zhu Chengxin, which also could not be considered to be on Liang Mengshao's head. Regarding Zhu Heng's case, although there was a small suspicion of favoritism, Zhu Heng's temperament was certainly a problem, and everyone present could see this point. And the best way to transform one's nature was to go out to train to temper it, so he couldn't be held accountable for this. The rewards were given and the punishment was declared. This affair did not need to be discussed anymore. Yang Chen had already said that this was Pure Yang Palace's affair, and neither had they obstructed or injured anyone, so they did not need to hand over anything to anyone. Although the Pure Yang Palace was a second-rate sect, the people of the Pure Yang Palace were still not something which could be taken advantage of. But before Yang Chen could enter closed-door training, he was stopped and interrogated by Zhu Chentao. "You want to experiment with methods to grow thunder pomegranate? How much certainty do you have?" Zhu Chentao didn't have as much confidence in Yang Chen as Gongsun Ling, but was instead somewhat anxious. "Otherwise, you better concentrate on cultivation first and wait until you start refining pills at foundation stage, until then it will also not be too late." "Many thanks for your concern, Elder." After Yang Chen expressed his thanks, he said with a smiling expression. "I don't have any certainty, I merely wanted to try, that's all. Who could be so bored so as to play up such an affair to get this much of a fanfare? Whatever other people say, you don't have to pay any attention to them, just relax and train." Zhu Chentao thought of something and did not say too many words. "I still want to look at your performance in the sex martial arts competition, so by all means, don't disappoint me." Be relieved, Elder. After Yang Chen finished his exchange with Zhu Chentao, Du Qian immediately took him away to the Forbidden Rooms, where the punished disciples would have to enter closed-door training within the Pure Yang Palace. The Forbidden Rooms were very small rooms which could only be opened from the outside. On the door there was a small opening to the outside, so that food and water could be delivered from the outside. From the inside, however, the door could never be opened, but this was necessary to control the punished disciples. But one could still enjoy some food and water. After all, although the fasting pills were good, they didn't satisfy the need for good food. Cultivators also could not put away all of their feelings and emotions, otherwise why would the Heavenly Court's Jade Emperor feast every day and drink every night? Countless immortals still enjoyed something and never got tired of it. Since it was closed-door training, naturally it was to help people in cultivation. Inside the Forbidden Rooms there was the exit of a spirit vein which was linked with all of the spirit veins of the Myking Mountains. On top of every exit, there was a very small praying mat made of straw for the use of disciples in closed-door training. After Yang Chen entered the Forbidden Room, he immediately replaced it with a piece of obsidian jade. All of this time for closed-door training was exactly what Yang Chen had been looking for. Originally he was still anxious that people would find out about him growing the thunder pomegranate in the medicine garden, but within the Forbidden Rooms, this was not a problem at all, and it was just enough time for Yang Chen. After settling down properly and checking everything, Yang Chen first inspected his own body. The spirit power in his body was already above the 3rd Kai layer, and he was convinced that he would break through to the 4th Kai layer very quickly. Due to climbing the heavenly stairs 2 times, Yang Chen had already broken through to 1 more level, which had saved him at least 1 year of hard work. The increase in the spiritual awareness made Yang Chen even happier, because if he had continued with a normal routine, even if the 3 purity secrets was quite wonderful, still, to increase the spiritual awareness from middle foundation stage to late foundation stage would still have taken him at least 10 years of hard work. But thanks to the fusion with the will of the Zhantai stage, Yang Chen's spiritual awareness had already become comparable to late foundation stage. Despite the vast difference in the realm of spirit power, due to the reverse yin and yang 5 phases secrets, the 10 attributes of condensed power were not worse than those of a 6 Kai layer disciple. The frantic increase of spiritual awareness also made up for his lacking spirit power. So at the moment Yang Chen already had the minimum requirements to use a magic weapon. This does not mean using a magic weapon while brandishing it in his hand, but rather using sword techniques to control it and use it to fly. Compared with previous way of fighting, his battle prowess had already improved by much. Comparing killing, by slashing with his blade, with 1 strike of a flying sword, there was a difference of earth and heaven between them. Unfortunately, the insufficient spirit power had been a big problem from the beginning. When attacking with sword techniques, Yang Chen could only use it for 2 strikes before his spirit power was almost used up. Though Yang Chen had somewhat less spirit power, but even the disciples at the peak of the Kai realm could only use treasure gems, so for them, Yang Chen was already in existence which could make them so envious that they would be fuming with rage. What made Yang Chen most surprised was the ability to genuinely control magic weapons. This also implied that Yang Chen could now officially begin to refine magic weapons. Previously, no matter whether it was the profound spirit furnace or the sword box, Yang Chen had only forcefully left his spirit imprint on them, so strictly speaking as long as a person had a cultivation base higher than Yang Chen and was at least a foundation stage master, if he tried, he could immediately remove Yang Chen's spiritual awareness. But refining a magic weapon was different, it could be forcefully taken back if captured by someone, and the labor required would also be much lower compared to the original requirement. It could only be obtained if the master had already died and his spiritual awareness had already disappeared. But some high-grade magic weapons would still require some special kind of methods, like the Yang Mountain Medicine Garden and the Sword Box. Every cultivator and every sect had their own unique methods, similar to their own refining method to control the magic weapon. If this was his previous life, Yang Chen would have surely used the method which he was good at in his previous life, the Great Sun Fierce Heart method, fitting with the pure Yang Palace's controlling skill to refine the magic weapon. However, in this life, Yang Chen had even more alternatives. The Heavenly Stars Treasure Refining Secrets. This was a god-level refining method, passed on from the 36 principal Heavenly Stars gods. Yang Chen was getting itchy to test the effects of this refining method secrets. As the name implies, since it was used by the heavenly gods, these Heavenly Stars Treasure Refining Secrets had 36 layers. Every layer also had 3 minor layers within it, closely fitting and imitating the heavenly stars to tighten it. The happiest thing for Yang Chen was that, not only did this method not have any restrictions regarding the attribute of spirit power, it also did not limit how many types of spirit power were used. Due to this, every time he would use the yin and yang 5 phases spirit power, adding onto the Heavenly Stars Treasure Refining Secrets, the effects would double. Wanting to try it, Yang Chen immediately took out the Profound Spirit Furnace. The current Profound Spirit Furnace was merely the lowest leveled magic tool. Relatively speaking, the refining would also be somewhat easy. It was even easier, since Yang Chen was familiar with the Heavenly Stars Treasure Refining Secrets. Even if it was the first layer of the Heavenly Stars Treasure Refining Secrets, based on Yang Chen's strength, it would still require at least 10 days of time, only then could the Profound Spirit Furnace be considered as refined to the first layer. The Heavenly Stars Treasure Refining Secrets were, as expected, the Heavenly Court's principal god's secret way for binding, so with just the refining to the first layer, Yang Chen had already achieved a level of control which he would have had achieved at the foundation stage in his previous life. And what made Yang Chen even happier was that after passing through the refining process, not only was the Profound Spirit Furnace upgraded to the first rate, his yin and yang 5 phases, secrets had also become somewhat concentrated, as if this Heavenly Stars Treasure Refining Secret was not just refining the Profound Spirit Furnace, but also refining Yang Chen himself. While the Profound Spirit Furnace was within his hands, the palm-sized cauldron-shaped furnace's body in a flash turned thick enough that he could wrap his arms around it. With just a slight movement of his hand, 2 threads of flame rushed into the furnace from his hands and soared within the Profound Spirit Furnace. This was Yang Chen's technique to manage the tool, and not just to manage the fire. Every reaction from the Profound Spirit Furnace made Yang Chen get the feeling that what his heart wished, his hands could accomplish. Under the perfect control of his spirit power, even a single speck of dust in the Profound Spirit Furnace could be sensed clearly. Having used the Heavenly Stars Treasure Refining Secret for the first time, although merely to the first layer, it still allowed Yang Chen to have an even deeper understanding regarding the refining of magic weapons and tools. When Yang Chen was at the Zhantai stage, he had firmly remembered all of these methods without thinking too much, and only after he had begun to cultivate did he discover the profound mysteries inside them one by one. This was only the Heavenly Stars Treasure Raising Secrets. If he waited until the spirit power was sufficient and his cultivation was enough, all of these methods could be used on these magic treasures by use of the terminating spell formation to refine them. Afterwards, the Universal Treasure Raising Secrets could be used on all of the magic weapons to strengthen them. Yang Chen had already started imagining that, by the time when all of these things were completed, not only would his yin and yang 5 phases, secrets become top-notch, but he also wondered what kind of an appearance his strong magic weapons would have by that time. The yin and yang 5 phases secret spirit power within Yang Chen's body also had a few variations because of the Heavenly Stars Treasure Refining Secrets. Within the spirit power of every attribute, apparently many types of new branches appeared. Yang Chen noticed that, because of cultivating the Heavenly Stars Treasure Refining Secret, each type of spirit power within his body had been transformed into 36 tiny paths of spirit power. This 36 tiny paths of spirit power had condensed together in accordance with the directions of the Heavenly Stars and together with his own 10 types of spirit power. In total there were 360 threads. Passing through this kind of combination of spirit power, it became even more concentrated and even more stable. At the same time, this would also mean that every time he did something, whether it be attack, defend or even refining pills or tools, every time he would naturally use the yin and yang 5 phases secret spell, and on every branch's spirit power, a Heavenly Stars spell would emerge. This spell within a spell, just this one tiny change, allowed Yang Chen's attack and defense to increase by a lot. His spiritual awareness had also somewhat changed. Originally it was just frantically expanding, but now it had even started to sense even the most minute changes in Yang Chen's body. The 36 threads of spirit power constituting the Heavenly Star spell were converging into one type of spirit power. He had precisely this kind of sensation. Yang Chen had a premonition, as long as these 36 threads of spirit power grew more and more powerful, the spirit power in his body would also become more and more powerful. The increasingly acute spiritual awareness even discovered that within the 36 threads of spirit power, there was one spirit power thread that was thicker compared to the others. After mulling over this for some time, he understood that this was because he had only cultivated to the first layer of the 36 layers of the heavenly treasure refining secrets. The present heavenly stars spell, when compared to the complete heavenly stars spell, was still too distant. However, just the first layer had already allowed Yang Chen's senses to sharpen his spiritual awareness, and in this situation, his attack power had also increased by 3 times. It was still unknown to which extent he could become strong if the heavenly stars spell had been completely intact. Similarly, what made him look forward to the future was that, together with the heavenly stars treasure-raising secrets, a terminating spell formation had appeared. Whether or not this would allow his spirit power to segment again into spirit paths identical to these, terminated in the heavenly stars spell. Ed. Note. We're very confused by the raws here and couldn't figure this sentence out. Thinking about the time when it would reach the second layer was making him go crazy. The profound spirit furnace was a pill-concocting furnace. In the future it would require various sorts of yin and yang, 5 phases attributes, therefore Yang Chen had used the yin and yang 5 phases, spirit power to refine it, which had only benefits and no harm. However, to refine the sword box, Yang Chen had run into trouble. Which type should he use to achieve the best results? Before he could resolve this issue, Yang Chen had no option but to consider what his primary weapon should be from now on. The sword box was after all only a sword box, even if it was very high grade, it was merely one sword box. If he wanted to display the formidable power of the sword box, he needed to replenish it with strong flying swords. And in the future, what kind of flying swords would he use? This problem, Yang Chen previously only had a vague idea but hadn't considered this problem seriously. However, now the situation had changed. When confronted with the problem of deciding the direction for his future development, Yang Chen also wanted to calmly and diligently think about it. Fortunately, this problem couldn't confuse Yang Chen for long. Since he had already picked the great yin and yang 5 phases secrets, when the time came, he could only choose to make use of the universal yin and yang 5 phases kai to refine the flying swords for the sword box, like that. The sword box would require the spirit power of 5 phases of yin and yang to advance as before with the refining. Presently the sword box was of a much higher grade than the profound spirit furnace, so Yang Chen had to spend 2 to 3 times more labor than for the profound spirit furnace. Just to refine the sword box, he had to spend 2 entire months. The first layer of the heavenly stars treasure refining secrets had also become more and more advanced, and the sword box also began to appear more and more sharp. It still had the look of the Zhantai stage's blade within his hand, but from time to time it flashed a cutting edge, appearing to people like a unique blade. Only, looking at this kind of situation, Yang Chen could not help but shake his head. The truly strong magic weapon would not reveal its cutting edge like this. This was a point which the greatest cultivators could easily see through. Clean jade bottles, a bunch of immortal ropes, a palm leaf fan which could even cut diamonds and many others, were all unremarkable in looks, but based on how one wished to make them appear, they would still be considered as high-quality weapons in the immortal realm. These exceptionally famous tools have all been improved and baptized by blood countless times, only then were they able to become genuinely outstanding and magnificent. Magic weapons and people were actually the same. Therefore Yang Chen's understanding of this was that, because he could reveal the cutting edge of the sword box, the magic weapon could also reflect his cultivation in the future. Perhaps, after the martial art competition, Yang Chen had to choose somewhere to go to train himself. He let it be for the time being. There were still several days before he could come out of seclusion. Yang Chen just took out the clean bottle of the Yang Mountain Medicine Garden. Since Yang Chen's cultivation was lower previously, he could only brand it with his own spirit power. But the medicine garden was of an even higher grade than the sword box, so Yang Chen did not have any expectations of being able to refine it for the time being. He had taken out the medicine garden only to resolve the affair of the thunder pomegranate. The thunder pomegranate required extreme conditions to grow, but that was not the only problem. Previously countless number of elders had only failed because dealing with the seed required too much skill. The thunder pomegranate not only required to be planted in regions with lightning from the beginning, but its seed, although looked as if had abundant spirit power, was nevertheless empty on the inside. For the seed to survive, it had to be planted in a region thick with first tree spirit power. Only after absorbing enough could it grow, otherwise it would not even be able to germinate or produce roots. Not only that, at the time of absorbing spirit power, it should not be polluted by other kinds of spirit power, and only then could it grow. Within the medicine garden, some first tree type of plants were growing, so fortunately the spirit power was absolutely abundant. Yang Chen carefully used a wooden knife to split open the thunder pomegranate, and after planting the seeds in a satisfactory place, he withdrew from the medicine garden. For now he had to wait until they had absorbed enough spirit power. After completing these tasks, Yang Chen finished everything and adjusted his whole body to its peak condition, as finally the time had come to come out of closed-door training. After he came out of closed-door training, on the next day was the sex martial arts competition. If you are enjoying the content, let a like, comment and subscribe to Fantasy World for more.